In refusing planning permission, the council says the planning authority was not satisfied based on the information submitted, whereby no direct pedestrian access from the site to Stranorlar town and associated amenities, all of which are located on the same side of the road, has been provided for, so that pedestrians can safely access existing services. The council added that, accordingly, to permit the development as proposed would materially contravene the policies set out in the 7 Strategic Towns Local Area Plan, would by itself and precedent endanger public safety by the reason of a traffic hazard, and would therefore be contrary to proper planning and sustainable development of the area. The council in addition says the planning authority was not satisfied on the basis of the excessively high density proposed and the submitted layout scheme that adequate traffic safety issues can be accommodated.
The Dáil has been told that insurance costs continue to cripple people. Sinn Féin Finance spokesperson Donegal Deputy Pearse Doherty says a properly functioning insurance market is vital. Speaking during statements on insurance reform, Deputy Doherty says despite the number of claims falling by 25%, insurance costs are on the rise. He says all sectors are being severely impacted.
Motor insurance premiums remain too high. Liability insurance for small businesses, for voluntary groups and for community organisations remain in a state of crisis. Between 2013 and 2020, premiums for the employer liability component of packages policies increased by 44%, while premiums for public liability component rose by 25%. Since 2009, premiums in the arts, entertainment and recreation sector have more than doubled.
Weather now this morning will be mostly cloudy, but through the afternoon a few bright or sunny periods will develop, and highest temperatures today of 15 to 18 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
Is any day more pointless than Tuesday? It's a tedious purgatory you pass through on the way to somewhere better, like airport security or Luxembourg. A day to forget. Until now, because KFC is saving Tuesdays with great deals like 10 mini fillets for just €10. KFC, saving Tuesdays, one deal at a time. Not available online, subject to availability. Tuesdays, June 13th to July 24th.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features, delivered with the same local trustworthy service of your credit union. And now it's time for the talk of the Northwest, the 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
And a very good morning to you. Just turning 4 minutes past 9 on this Thursday, the 23rd of June. How are you keeping? I hope you are all well. And hopefully you're with us here for the next 3 hours in the programme and throughout the day here on your number one local radio station, Highland Radio. The lines are open for you as they are every morning from 9, 08660 25,000 WhatsApps and texts, and you can use that number anytime you like, by the way, and we can pick those messages up. Caroline and Donna Marie taking your calls this morning on 074 91 25,000, and then of course your emails come in to us, comments at highlandradio.com. If you want to watch the programme this morning, including Sinn Féin's housing spokesperson talking to us later on, well, you can jump onto our website, highlandradio.com, and watch the programme there. Or if you feel like it, go straight to our social media accounts, YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland, Facebook, Highland Radio News and Sport, and Highland Radio. Okay, it's a Thursday, so as you know, lots of papers out on a Thursday. Let's start with the Tyrconnell Tribune and the decision by the organisers of the Donegal Rally to run 3 stages of this year's event over the Fannet Head route was in total conflict with an agreement brokered in the late 1980s that restrained them from doing so in the future. That's according to the paper's source involved in the negotiations to allow the rally to continue in the area. A former secretary of the Fannet Development Association has confirmed that following public anger back then, an agreement was finally brokered and minuted with the Donegal Motor Club to ensure that the community would never again be locked into their homes for lengthy periods to accommodate 3 stages of the rally. It's also been confirmed that the agreement was brought to the notice of the Donegal Motor Club ahead of this year's rally, and they were requested to adhere to that. However, no action was taken and there was no callbacks in response to the complaints raised, the paper is told. Much more in that story on the front of and inside that paper this morning. We'll turn our attentions now to the Donegal Democrat, and it was certainly a long time coming, but pupils and staff at St Mary's National School Stranorlar finally made their big move to their wonderful new school yesterday. The 24 classroom school is located on a 2.2 acre site opposite the Finn Valley Centre in Stranorlar. The €8 million project came about after many years of proverbial blood, sweat and tears from staff, Board of Management and local representatives. As well as 24 state-of-the-art classrooms over 3 floors, the new St Mary's, known also as Skolmora, features hard surface play courts, a grass playing field and extensive car parking. An exciting day, an exciting end to the year really, I suppose, for students and teachers, and they're all set to go for the new term. Very exciting indeed. Right, the Donegal news this morning. The number of people being treated in Letterkenny University Hospital for COVID is continuing to rise, more than doubling in just over 1 week. There are currently 37 patients being treated in hospital for COVID. This compares with 17 last week. Now, I'm not sure if the information is available to say they're all being treated for COVID, or if it's a mixture of people with COVID or those who are found to have COVID, but the paper suggests it's 37 patients are being treated actually for COVID. One ward continues to be impacted by outbreaks, and the delivery of some services has been scaled back, with elective procedures having seen postponements because of the impact on bed capacity and as a result of the impact of COVID-19 emergency department activities. On to the Derry news now, and one of 2 women described as being members of an organised stealing to order gang was remanded in custody at Derry Magistrates Court yesterday on a number of theft charges. Nadine Johnson, who's 37, in the Gallia area of the city, appeared charged with 4 counts of stealing alcohol and clothing on dates on June of this year. She was also charged with going equipped for theft with pliers, a hammer and tinfoil on Monday of this week, June 20th, and a charge of handling stolen goods on the same date. Let's go to the Nationals now, and a lot about the finances of this country covered across many of the papers. The Irish Times tells us that Irish households are facing the biggest drop in living standards since the 2008 financial crisis, as earnings from work failed to keep pace with soaring inflation. That's according to the Economic and Social Research Institution. The Institute also forecasts a slowdown in house price growth on the back of rising interest rates. In the latest summer economic commentary, the ASRI said the Irish economy was continuing to perform strongly and it would grow at a rate of 6.8% in gross domestic product terms this year and by 4.8% next. However, it said the persistent increase in inflation and uncertainty due to the war in Ukraine would eat into the performance of the domestic economy. And the ESRI is also suggesting that the government be careful in terms of tax cuts and in terms of wage rises and the impact that could have on inflation. So, and I hadn't thought about this since the last recession. The bottom line is that to protect inflation, the model being pushed forward is that we struggle more. So to keep inflation down, you limit tax breaks. That's what the suggestion is, and you don't accede to demands for pay rises. What a world we live in is that's the solution. Is there any possibility that maybe those who are incredibly wealthy or some of these big companies have a role to play in absorbing some of the the inflationary pressures? Why is it always on the people with least, the workers, people on social welfare? I don't understand how that all works. And if that is the system that works, then the system needs to change, because our solution to limiting cost increases is to make sure people have less money in their pockets. That's a strange way of dealing with something, isn't it? It seems traditional, but should we accept that any longer? Why should we accept that any longer? Why shouldn't, as I say, the major companies, the billionaires, why shouldn't they absorb some of this? They tend to get richer in these times, so why don't they do their fair share of lifting? Why does it always have to come back to the squeezed middle, who we're about to talk about now, or those with least who maybe are on social welfare? Well, anyway, the Irish Independent tells us a section of society labelled the squeezed middle has emerged as coming under severe financial pressure from the cost of living crisis. These are people who are middle income and middle aged with huge outgoings. They're paying high costs for mortgages, childcare and energy, and are being forced to make large spending adjustments to cope with surging prices, according to the latest Consumer Sentiment Index from KBC Bank. The squeezed middle-aged refers to people in their late 30s, 40s and 50s, KBC economist Austin Hughes said. This group may be facing the greatest shock from the increased cost of living because they have a lot of fixed outgoings relating to children and mortgages, limited power to change jobs, and are in many instances seeing a big worsening in their living standards, he says. So you have a fixed income, one or two of you in the house. This is a familiar story we're all used to. You know what your mortgage is, it's there. Maybe you got a car, you're paying in on that, and maybe a couple of one or two young ones heading to college, and everything is increasing in cost. The cost of borrowing, the cost of running your car, the cost of heating your house. But you are in a position whereby it's hard for you to make a change to increase your income, and you get squeezed. And I think therein lies the phrase. Right, okay. Now on to the Irish Daily Mail, and this story rumbles on. I'm reading it because it is rumbling on. Leo Varadkar said he was standing up to bullies and acting in self-defence during his row in the Dáil with Sinn Féin's Pearse Doherty last week, which is a remarkable statement in and of itself. During the spat, the Tánaiste accused Deputy Doherty of abusing and mistreating a member of the Gardaí during an arrest in 1999. He added that Mr Doherty was found guilty but got away with a conviction because of his age at the time. Well, yesterday the Fine Gael leader admitted that the interaction probably didn't reflect well on politics, but in my mind, he said, it was very much self-defence. He added Sinn Féin, whether it's their supporters online, on the streets, or their politicians in the Dáil, are constantly trying to attack us personally and bully us and do us down on the government benches. So he says he was simply firing back. I just have a feeling if the parties in power change after the next election, well, those roles also tend to change as well. The Irish Farmers Journal tells us that the Minister for Agriculture has dug deep. 1.5 billion agri-climate rural environmental scheme cited by government as a new REPS will open on August 1st. The scheme will deliver maximum annual payments of between 7,300 and 10,500 to 50,000 farmers. There'll be at least 2 tranches for farmers to apply for the scheme, and contracts will begin on the 1st of January 2023. The scheme's payments for environmental measures will be more result-based than ever and will run for 5 years, department officials have said. On to the Irish Daily Star today, and a tragic story inside the pages there. An Irish 7-year-old has died in hospital 2 days after being pulled from her Mallorcan hotel pool and taken to hospital in a critical condition. Sources at the hospital in the Spanish islands capital Palma confirmed she had lost her fight for life yesterday afternoon. A police investigation into Monday's incident at the 4-star HYB Eurocalis Hotel in the resort of Calais de Mallorca is ongoing. A spokesperson for a regional government-run emergency coordination centre said on Tuesday, "We took a call around 3:40 p.m. on Monday to say lifeguards had spotted a young girl lying motionless on the bottom of the pool and dived in to rescue her. They performed CPR on her after pulling her out of the water because she'd gone into cardiac arrest. Paramedics continued to try to revive her after reaching the scene and got her breathing again in the back of her ambulance. She was taken to San Espaces Hospital on June 5th. 6-year-old Corey Ohi from Belfast died after falling into the swimming pool of the hotel where his family was staying in Mallorca. But those are 2 separate tragedies. Incredibly sad indeed. And thinking on family and friends and school friends of that young girl this morning. The Irish Daily Mirror, the boss of company behind Dancing with the Stars, warned yesterday it was unsustainable for the independent production sector that RTE has not had a licence fee increase since 2008. Now, this guy needs to read the room a little bit, because I think the last thing anyone in this country wants to talk about at the moment is an increase to the licence fee. But anyway, and Dancing with the Stars, are RTE not paying a lot of these people already? Because they're pretty much, RTE staff that end up going on this show. I'm sure there's staff sitting in there going, well, why haven't I been on the Late Late Show yet? Why haven't I been on Dancing with the Stars yet? I've been sitting in this canteen for 4 years and no one's come up to me. But anyway, Shinawil boss Larry Bass said unless government makes a decision on the future of public service broadcasting funding, he fears RTE will not be able to afford shows to compete with international streamers anymore. Well, they need to change how they do things. That's what's happening in Britain. They're changing how they do things. It's happening all over the world. You can't sit still, literally sit still with a crappy online digital player and then expect us to fund you to compete with other companies that are doing it better. I don't think that's a fair deal. I think he'd be far better off asking for RTE to cut the wages of its senior staff and use that money to fund these programmes. That would make an awful lot more sense, I think. And finally, in the Irish Sun, this is an incredibly sad story. That is the dad of murdered Anna Kriegel will be buried today as one of his daughter's killers tries to overturn his conviction. Patrick Kriegel died peacefully last weekend in Leixlip. His passing comes more than 4 years after he and his wife, Geraldine's only daughter, was brutally murdered by two boys. A funeral service for the French native will take place this afternoon at Newlands Cross Crematorium. A death notice described Mr. Kriegel as beloved husband of Geraldine and dear father of the late Anastasia. The couple, who adopted Anna from Siberia when she was just 2, were devastated when she vanished on May 14th, 2008. And as I said, one of those found responsible for her death are literally currently this week, setting out an appeal to that conviction. All right, we'll be back after the break.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features, delivered with the same local trustworthy service of your credit union.
It's where you live. It's where you relax. It's where you make memories. Treat your home to a visit to Cooney's Home Interiors. We have everything in store to help recreate your home. Choose from our extensive range of suites, tables, beds, mattresses and home furnishings for every room. Cooney's Home Interiors, Letterkenny. Style and perfection at incredible value.
The final Saturday stretch at Oakfield Park with Foe is this Saturday from 11 until late. This week there's live music from Lavengro after 6, with later running trains, food specials at Buffer's Restaurant, craft beers and wines, delicious coffees and sweet treats. It's the perfect family day out. Normal gate fees apply, no booking required. Season pass and gold pass holders enter free. Come along to the Saturday stretch, this Saturday at Oakfield Park.
123 212 321? No, 222 is the magical 3-digit number plate for July. iMotors have Kia and Nissans available for immediate delivery. If you're thinking of changing your car or upgrading, make sure to call in to us today in Letterkenny or Malin, or visit our website imotors.ie.
Green Shoes in Letterkenny and Fulcara have shoes for every occasion. All your favourite brands, from Una Healy, Tommy Bow and Echo, to Kate Appleby, Marcosi and Skechers, plus many more. Shop LK and One for All gift cards are gratefully accepted in store. Green Shoes in Letterkenny at Market Square and Letterkenny Shopping Centre, Fulcara and online at greenshoes.com. Green Shoes, with the perfect fit for every foot.
Don't sleep in and miss the very latest beds and mattress offers from dfibeds.ie, Ireland's leading online bed and mattress retailer. You'll get a comfy Irish-made mattress, upholstered base and headboard from an amazing €229. Check out the full range at dfibeds.ie. Delivery free and guaranteed to you within 7 working days. DFI Beds. Sleep well, live well.
Okay, good morning, Samuel.
Good morning, Greg.
How are you keeping?
Oh, not too bad at all.
Good stuff.
I reached the magical figure of 80 years of age there back on the 3rd of May.
A very happy birthday. You're an octogenarian now.
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Now, my problem, Greg, is that for my 80th birthday, the family bought me a classic car, which is a Rover 1987 213. Now, it's absolutely immaculate, and I have tried to get classic insurance for it, and I can't obtain. Now, I've held a full insurance policy since I was 18 years of age. I have a clean driver's license, valid now until December 2003. And because of my age, they are not taking on any classic insurance for people over 75 years of age.
And they told you that, Samuel?
Pardon?
They told you that?
Yes. Well, one of the companies didn't give a reason. I'm not going to name any companies over the air, as you can understand, you know. But one of the companies who I had classic insurance with, on O'Reilly Health, a few years ago, and my name and all was still in the system.
Yes.
So they had all my details, and the chap that dealt with me, he said he would have to get back to me, which he did within 48 hours, and I had been refused, but they didn't give any reason.
And just to be clear, because you've said this quite clearly already, you already are on the road, fully insured, fully licensed, as you say. This is just a little treat for you from your family for your 80th birthday.
Exactly, yes. I've been fully insured since I was 18 years of age.
Yeah.
You can calculate that now, and I was 80 on the 3rd of May.
Wow. Now, I mean, theoretically, if it was someone else's car that was taxed and insured, you could drive it under your own insurance. I don't understand the logic of not giving you your own policy.
Exactly, yes. But as I say, that's the difficulty I'm faced with. I love attending all the vintage shows,
yes.
And I know Michael Crampsey is running one at the Clanree.
On Sunday, yeah.
On Sunday, yes. I mean, I worked in Letterkenny in the early 1960s. My first car was an Austin 7 Mini bought in Macaulay's garage.
Lovely. Beautiful car as well.
I can even remember the registration of it.
Go on.
It was a ZP9700.
Right, okay, lovely stuff. Do you feel is this something that you're seeing as a bit of an annoyance, Samuel, or is this bothering you? Do you feel discriminated against because it's only because of your age?
Because of your age, Greg. You
yeah.
know, and I feel it's totally unfair, you know.
Yeah, I get you.
So if there's anything you can do for me...
No, we'll check it out. I did not know that in this day and age that we could discriminate against someone based on their age. Now, of course, you know, when you get to a certain age, you have to, you know, get a letter from your GP or whatever.
Yes.
They can look at your no claims bonus, your driving history, all of that's clear and clean. So the only reason they are refusing you this insurance is because of your age. Now, I would have thought that wasn't allowed, but clearly they feel it is.
Well, that appears to be the situation, Greg, and as I say, I'm disappointed, you know, because
right.
I love going out to these shows and etc. This Rover 213, now you'd be too young now to remember the television series Keeping Up Appearances.
No, I've seen it. I was actually going to ask you, where did they find a rust-free 1987 Rover 213?
In the UK, it was brought over from Birmingham, and I had already contacted the VRT office.
Yes.
To pay out the VRT.
Yes.
But then when I discovered that I couldn't get insurance, I had to cancel that. But if I can get insurance, I'll go through the legal system of paying VRT, etc., and taxing it. It'll require an NCT as well.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, but you were clever not to go through all of that until such time as you were able to get a policy on it. Why did they get you a Rover 213? Don't get me wrong, lovely car. Okay, yes. But I don't think it's the sexiest older car, if that makes sense.
Well,
is it because of memories or?
No, it's I had my two knees replaced over 20 years ago.
Yes.
My two hips replaced in 2015. So mobility is not as good as it used to be, you know. And monies were always my favourite. I've had too many to remember about, you know.
Yes.
But they're not the easiest to get out.
No, they're very low, aren't they? Yeah.
At my age in life, you know.
Yeah.
And the Rover 213 is it's a Rolls Royce.
It's a saloon, isn't it?
It's just a four-door saloon, yes. It has the Honda engine and all on it, you know, 1.3.
What colour, if you don't mind me asking, Samuel?
Pardon?
What colour is it?
It's black.
Oh, lovely.
And it's a 213S. She's the top of the range. It was owned by a lady in Birmingham, and her father was a supervisor, I think, in Rover, and it was maintained to the highest standard, you know.
Yeah, not. Yeah, it must have been indeed. And
But that series, Keeping Up Appearances, is exactly the same model as Poor Richard, the henpecked, and his wife was called Hyacinth.
Yes, Hyacinth Bouquet or Bucket, wasn't it?
Bouquet or Bucket.
whichever you prefer. That's a classic show. It's still that show was actually aged really well, a bit like your Rover.
Yeah.
So it's really unfortunate that you find yourself in this position, because it's so exciting. As you say, there's classic car events all over the place, and this car would stand out because it's a little bit different. It's not everyone's classic, but as you say, you know, it's like a Rolls Royce of its time, and it's in immaculate condition.
Yes, absolutely. So as I say now, Greg, if you can help me out, I would appreciate it very, very much.
Yes. Now I want to approach this on the fact of, I want someone to explain to me why, because you're a certain age, that you can't get a policy. That's what bothers me. Obviously, other people are texting in suggesting to you that, you know, you can get the car put in one of your family's name and your own insurance will cover you to drive it. But you know, why should you have to you know, bend the situation like that? There, you're perfectly fit to hold your own insurance and own your own car. Why can't you do it for the Rover 213?
Yeah, I like sort of my own independence.
100%, yeah, exactly.
Yes,
Yeah, I get you.
Okay,
right,
Greg.
we're going to make calls. We're going to get on to the Insurance Federation too, because I want someone to explain to me this situation. And I want to challenge them on that. And hopefully, happy driving. You still going to go to the event on Sunday, Samuel?
Well, I could actually go because my son Trevor has an open insurance policy because he works in the car
yes, okay.
bodywork
yeah.
business, you know, and has been doing it for 40 odd years.
Yes, okay.
And he could drive me, you know, but we'll see how it goes. Sure.
Did you work all your life around Letterkenny, Samuel?
I first went to work in Letterkenny in the early 1960s.
Yes.
And I was working for a gentleman called Jack Spears Hardware.
Right.
Now that shop is Brian McCormick's sports shop. That's where that shop was, you know. And I have a lot of friends in Letterkenny. I ran the national marathon the year that Danny McDade won it.
Wow.
And he won it in 2 hours and 18 minutes, and I done it in 3 hours and 7 minutes.
Right, no, but that's a fantastic time, isn't it?
Yeah, I was over 40 at that time, Greg. You
wow,
know?
Fantastic.
And
yeah,
I went to school with the four Patterson people, you know.
Yes.
And Ronnie and Billy and Christine and Dorothy, and I know Victor Fisher there and Michael Cramsey and.
Yes, have some chat. I would say you have some crack when you meet up. Anyway.
Jimmy Kavanagh there is another convoy man as well.
Right.
And I heard your interview with Esther there earlier in the week too.
Right. Okay. Very good.
It's funny that the daughter that she met up with lives in Holland. I have a son living in Holland, and a city called Helmond.
Wow, okay, that's quite a coincidence, isn't it? Like in that both Donegal connections, both Holland connections with your children.
And he works for a company called ASML. So once you go off there today, you Google ASML, and you'll see that they're the biggest company in the world in the semiconductor business.
Brilliant. And I'll let you into a little secret, Samuel. I have been known to Google while I'm on air as well. So my curiosity is going to get the better of me.
Yeah.
Did any of the insurance company, before I let you go, Samuel, did any of the insurance companies suggest that you need to be a member of a vintage car club?
I'm a member of the
right, box ticks. Right, it's not that then.
Owners Club,
okay,
you know.
Good stuff. All right. Did you ever turn the wheels the wrong way round on a Mini? I remember that when I was really quite young. You know, you couldn't afford new rims, but guys used to invert or rotate the rims so, you know, that they stuck out further on the car.
No.
It was like a poor man's...
We always had the good Mini light.
I was going to say it was a poor man's modification back in the day, you know.
Yeah.
All right.
No,
all right, take care of yourself, Samuel.
Okay.
Leave that with us. We'll see if we can come up with anything.
Right, Greg.
It's been lovely chatting to you, and happy belated birthday.
Okay.
Take care. Bye-bye. That's Samuel there. 086 60 25,000. Another caller says you can put the classic car in one of your family's name and your own insurance will cover you to drive. And I'm thinking this gentleman can drive any car under his insurance company. Quite possibly. But as you heard from Samuel there, and it came across loud and clear, he wants to be independent if possible. And why not? Why not? If he's perfectly entitled to drive his own vehicle, why can't he have a second classic vehicle and enjoy that element of his hobby?
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
At Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, we are now operating out of one new state-of-the-art showroom in Donegal Town. And we invite you to visit our new 5,000 square foot Donegal Town showroom to discover the latest eye-catching designs. Remember, at Cherrymore, you're dealing directly with the manufacturer, which means high-quality kitchens at factory prices. Start planning your dream kitchen or bedroom by calling Cherrymore on 074 9725 822. Cherrymore, 25 years delivering value, quality and service all over Ireland.
Due to continued expansion, Watson Hire and Letterkenny have a vacancy for a mechanic and plant fitter. Work will include maintenance and repair of plant hire, tools and equipment. Experience with diesel, petrol and electrical machinery will be important. A full driver's licence and basic computer knowledge is essential. This position is full-time and offers a competitive salary. To apply, send your CV to jobs@watsonhire.ie.
In the LG price drop at Ben Sweeney Euronics, we have incredible value in all LG TVs, like a 50-inch smart TV for only $399, a 65-inch for $599, and the massive 82-inch for $1349. If you're looking for a TV that's a work of art, a big screen cinema, a portal to gaming worlds, or a front row seat to the biggest sporting events, you'll get amazing value right now at Ben Sweeney Euronics, Port Road, Letterkenny, and the shopping centre down low.
Buncrana Music Festival, Saturday and Sunday, July 2nd and 3rd. Dan McCabe, Moncrief, Hothouse Flowers, Paddy Casey, The Fratellis, Hudson Taylor, Leah Hart and many more. Buncrana Music Festival, July 2nd and 3rd. Tickets on sale at buncranamusicfestival.com.
Okay, you're welcome back to the programme. So, as you know, we had a discussion yesterday about the defective block scandal. Today, there is presentations to the Housing Committee of the Oireachtas on that issue. It's been called compressed pre-legislative scrutiny, but that being said, it's not really that, but I understand why it's been described as such. Just to be clear what the frames of reference are, or the terms of reference are, the Housing Committee is chaired by Cathaoirleach, it's Cathaoirleach obviously, Deputy Stephen Matthews, and he said, this is how he's framing today's discussions: given the urgency of this bill, and given the bill will be published in advance of committee consideration of the general scheme, the committee has agreed that it is not possible to undertake pre-legislative scrutiny. So they themselves, ahead of today, are saying this is not pre-legislative scrutiny. And also, in terms of what changes might be made, there's no guarantee that any will be made. The committee says in its press release that it only retains the right to communicate its view of the bill to the Minister following these meetings. Okay, so even after they've spoken for their 6 hours today, over 2 hours, 3 sessions of 2 hours, the Housing Committee simply retains the right to communicate its view of the bill to the Minister following these meetings. And it's very important to point out as well that Housing Committee is dominated by government parties. Okay, so whatever the government decide, it is they have the power on that committee. They have more members than all the other parties and independents combined. So we'll see what comes from it. Right, okay. We want to find out what the situation is at Letterkenny University Hospital now, and we are joined on the programme by its General Manager, Sean Murphy. Good morning, Sean.
Morning, Greg. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Right, as we're seeing across the world, certainly Europe at the moment, another surge in COVID-19 cases. What impact is that having on your hospital?
Well, I suppose essentially there's two elements to the impact. One is the number of patients that are coming in with COVID and the need to take measures to ensure that we don't spread COVID within the hospital. So our numbers have gone up steadily from being back in single digits a number of weeks ago to 39 patients today. I'm glad to say we don't have any patients with COVID in ICU, but that's a big jump, as you can imagine.
Yep.
We've gone up to 39.
And do we have an idea of the breakdown between, those that have tested positive for COVID and those that have come in being treated? I know it's an old question, Sean, but it's quite important, I think, for our listeners to get a sense of how many are being treated because they're ill with COVID, how many are being treated but have COVID?
I don't have that breakdown to hand at the moment. And look, I was going to say there are clearly a number that have tested positive with COVID, as opposed to have come in because with COVID as their main condition. But I'd rather not start guessing in terms of proportion.
But that gives us a sense of the spread in the community and its impact on the hospital as well. That's the motivation for asking that.
I understand the reason. I absolutely, but I suppose I don't want you to start guessing at numbers. But look, that's something we can come back to you on. Absolutely.
Yeah, no problem. I think it's useful.
Yeah, the other aspects. So there were two aspects. So one is it was the numbers, and that puts pressures on our beds in terms of segregating patients. We have 2 wards now where we have restricted admissions, and again that's going to impact in terms of visiting and access to the hospital. So that's not a situation we want. We want to be coming out of this. The second issue and element is the impact on staff. So, as I often say to you, Greg, our staff are part of the community. What happens in the community, is equally true for our staff. So we've seen an increase in the number of staff in the last 10 days, I would say, that are off of COVID. There's always been a proportion that, for medical reasons, have been cocooning. But now we're seeing an increase again in the number of staff that are asymptomatic and waiting results, but more significantly, staff that are actually testing positive.
Yeah.
And that, again, impacts in terms of our throughput and our flow of patients through the hospital.
Yeah.
So this morning, we've got 4 patients waiting to be admitted from the emergency department into the wards. But we started out this morning with 30-odd patients in total, actually still undergoing treatment and assessment in the emergency department. That's a significant number to start the day with before other patients start presenting.
But at this point, though, Sean, with all due respect, of course you are an acute hospital, okay? And one of your principal functions, if not its main function, is to deal with sick people. And people get sick and they turn up at hospital. Why can't you deal with that?
We can deal with it. What we're struggling with is the increase in the numbers that have come that have started to turn up by about a fifth. There's over 2,000 more patients in the first 5 months of this year, and that puts pressure on in terms of the space, the capacity. And in the last 24 hours, we've had a number of staff within the department, including key staff, that have actually been off sick themselves.
Yeah.
So it's I suppose a triple issue of space, the number of staff that are working through the delivery treatment, and increase in numbers.
All right, I was in the hospital recently. Just before you go on to that, I was in the hospital recently, right? Whatever people do out and about, that's their own business. I was in the hospital recently and saw a couple of people in there, not staff, I should point out, not wearing masks, okay? What's the logic in that? I mean, would it not be prudent, if there's a lot of COVID spreading in the community, that people in the hospital should have to wear masks?
Yes, we ask all staff. We ask everybody in the hospital, because it's a healthcare setting, to wear a mask and reduce the spread of COVID. Absolutely.
Is that enforced?
Sorry?
Is that enforced?
Enforced, we don't have people going around stopping everybody, but we do enforce it in terms of the staff managers, clinical staff infection control team will stop people if they're not.
Now, I was chatting to a gentleman recently who had to go to the hospital with an infection. Now, I know you can't comment on individual cases, and I'm not expecting you to either. But they had a temperature because of an infection that they had. Now, because they had a high temperature, they were admitted to a COVID ward. Now, you're in the business of trying to limit the spread of COVID. Does that happen? And if that does happen, does that make sense to you?
Okay, so the issue is I can't comment on.
Understood. But the scenario.
So I don't know. here I'm in danger of speculating, but what I would say is, was it that he was admitted to COVID ward or was it that when he presented to the emergency department? We have two streams.
Understood, okay.
We have the COVID and potential COVID.
Okay,
streams,
in the lack of me having a follow-up, I'll withdraw that question because, as I say, it's probably not helpful.
He may have been admitted to COVID and potential COVID because a high temperature would be one of the criteria for, even though he may have an infection, you can't rule out the possibility he might also have COVID.
Right, okay, I get you.
Yeah.
Now, so just to recap then finally, we might have one more question for you if that's okay.
Okay.
The impact on services potentially, because we don't know when this will peak or how quickly it'll pass through or what might be the case, and also in terms of access for visitors, just to recap that.
Okay. So again, we at this stage we're doing nothing other than asking people to limit visiting to the areas that are affected by COVID. We will be keeping our visiting policy under review. Quite frankly, Greg, we want to make the hospital as accessible as possible to family members. Right? We recognise the benefits of that. It's getting that balance between having safe levels of access and not introducing potential spread of COVID from the community. In terms of the impact on services, again, our focus is on maintaining services as fully as possible. We have been doing Trojan work in terms of the elective work. Endoscopy work is up massively. Our waiting lists have decreased by over half in the last 6 months. We've seen large increases in the number of outpatients that we're seeing. We want to maintain that throughput. Some services may be impacted if a number of staff in that area end up going off sick at short notice. If they become COVID positive or asymptomatic, we can't have staff coming in that have got symptoms until they've got a negative test result. And I suppose my final message is that, and you quite reasonably pushed me to say and said, but you're there to treat sick patients. We are. But just supposed to highlight the fact that we're starting this morning in a busy place. The day is going to get busier. We will be, as always, triaging patients and focusing our efforts on the longest priority, the clinical priority patients, the patients most in need of urgent treatment. It is an emergency department. We focus on the emergencies. People with more minor conditions, as always, we say. Can you go to your GP? Are there other options open, including go to your pharmacist? If you've got a minor condition, if you have a minor issue, you will wait longer because we've got to prioritise those sickest patients.
And also, we have to talk about these things, but it's not with a view to scaring on. The bottom line is if anyone is sick enough that they feel that they need to go to the hospital, regardless of what we've just been speaking about, they need to go to the hospital. They're not in any necessarily greater danger in going to the hospital.
No.
And if they are sicker than other people that are already waiting there, they will be seen. They don't necessarily go to the back of the queue because of the triaging that you talk of. So anyone who's sick, do not avoid the hospital. Sean, I'm not putting words in your mouth. If I'm wrong, let me wrong. But I don't want one person to say to their wife, if they need to go to the hospital, do you know what? I'm not going to go in there because such and such was said on the radio. If you need to go to hospital, get to the hospital and you'll be seen.
No, absolutely, Greg, and that's a really key message. And you and I have both said this many times before. That's absolutely true. And we want to make sure we provide care to those patients who need urgent care. The message is simply for those that have got more minor illnesses. Please look at other options that might be more appropriate, and bear with us if you experience long waiting times. We do apologise for it, but we are doing our best to see everybody as quickly as possible.
I asked you this question 6 months ago, and I just wonder, has your answer changed? We were inundated over the course of a week with people unable to get in contact with their GP in certain areas. It depends where you are. It depends on the surgery. Some people have fantastic access. Others, they simply just cannot get an appointment. And we were told by many, many people, Sean, that because of their concerns, they were turning up at the ED because they'd know at least they'd be seen. So I'll ask you one more time. Is access to a GP or issues with that adding to pressures on the emergency department of Letterkenny University Hospital?
I can't remember what I told you 6 months ago, but
you told me not really.
What I would say is it's very difficult for me to comment on that. I hear mixed messages. I've got to say I've certainly had increased feedback about people saying that they can get to GPs, but again, it's all anecdote. It's all what people say, and it's always dangerous to draw conclusions in terms of what people have said. But yes, I mean I've heard stories about people saying that they couldn't get to GP or they couldn't get face-to-face consultation. But I don't know if that is still remains true. And
but you're not ruling it out as a factor either.
Sorry?
You're not ruling it out as a factor to the overcrowding issues.
Look, I'd say we've seen an increase of almost a fifth in terms of the number of patients presenting to the emergency department. We know a lot of people are very sick. We've seen a very significant increase this year in the level of acuity, level of illness, the seriousness of illness, and people presenting. I wouldn't be ruling out any factors.
Okay.
And that's not being smart.
Not at all.
Really, I think like everything else, it's very seldom one issue. There's always a combination of issues. But I've certainly had some feedback that indicates to me that access to GP appointments has improved.
Okay, Sean, thank you very much indeed for that. Sean Murphy, General Manager of Letterkenny University Hospital.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Sheridan Security, now introducing zero-wire smart alarm systems. Zero wire, zero mess, and a real peace of mind. With a simple press of a button, your alarm can be set or unset, or download the free app and control it from your phone. Call us today on 074 912 6025 and get your alarm from €299. Stay local, stay safe, and protect what you value most with Sheridan Security Systems.
Green Shoes in Letterkenny and Fulcara have shoes for every occasion. All your favourite brands, from Una Healy, Tommy Bow and Echo, to Kate Appleby, Marcosi and Skechers, plus many more. Shop LK and One for All gift cards are gratefully accepted in store. Green Shoes in Letterkenny at Market Square and Letterkenny Shopping Centre, Fulcara, and online at greenshoes.com. Green Shoes, with the perfect fit for every foot.
Gutcha go gluisiú tú faoi Gaelphobal Líonra Letterkenny.
Gaelphobal Líonra Letterkenny?
Sha to Líonra Letterkenny mar Gaelphobal. If you want to promote more Irish in your business, learn Irish, join our book club, or to speak more Irish, young or old, Coupla Focal na Umlan Lifa, there's a welcome for you in Líonra Letterkenny. Find out more at gaelphobal.ie.
Crohi spas, don Gaelige.
Gaelphobal.
Gaelige le Gaele.
Years ago, I used to dread my motor insurance renewal. Then a friend told me about O'Malley Scanlon Insurance in Ballybofey and Dunlow. They do all the hard work. They contact all the major insurance underwriters and they get the very best possible quote for me. They have saved me a small fortune over the years and they could do the same for you.
When your insurance comes up for renewal, contact O'Malley Scanlon Insurance at their Ballybofey office on 9131020 or their Dunlow office on 952206. O'Malley Scanlon is regulated by the Central Bank.
All right, you're very welcome back to the programme. So catching up on some of your comments from yesterday. Actually, before I do, this is time sensitive. Our 14-year-old dog has been lost in the Letterkenny area. With age, she's going deaf, wearing a collar saying Mary. If found, give us a call here. So if you found a dog, an older dog, not very responsive, if you speak to it, it's got a collar on saying Mary. And you can imagine how keen its owners are, or her owners are, to get her home. A caller says, I'm so disappointed the government is going to fail the people of Donegal once again. The minister yesterday admitted this scheme doesn't cover everything and he says he'll support it. Shame on him and his colleagues. I can't afford this. As a public service worker, I can't afford to borrow the money required to rebuild adequately. I can't even sell and move away. They've broken the housing market for over 7,000 people in Donegal alone. Thank you, Rory. Why, if homeowners replace the foundations themselves, are they to be excluded to the scheme from the scheme? Well, that has been changed, we're told, so that's not the case any longer. Greg, the minister yesterday totally bluffing. He doesn't understand what he's talking about. He's failing the public. I have no money and can't afford this. Greg, Charlie McConalogue will toe the party line, and if you think he'll vote against the government, you're being fooled, and we are being fooled. I know I know exactly what the score is in that situation, but my role, as I see my role, to some extent on issues, is to get comments on the record. Now, it doesn't have to be that we agree with them, that we like them, or if you do agree with them and do like them, it's about getting stuff on the record, because once something has been said, there's a record of it there, and then that can be referenced for the future. Not in any mischievous or catchy out way, it's just so we know exactly where we are. It's democracy, it's accountability. Hi, Greg. Why doesn't Charlie McConalogue just say the government are holding off on paying until the next election and make themselves look good? That's why he won't answer questions. All right, thanks for that. Councillor Nicholas Crossan joins us on the programme now. Good morning, Nicholas. Thanks for taking the call.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
I'm all right. Right. Some concerns were being expressed about services in Buncrana, particularly as it relates to the daycare services, as far as I'm aware. What's the situation? What's going on?
Well, recently, Greg, more or less since the last 6 months or so, there has been a cutback in the services in the Buncrana, in the daycare area in Buncrana. And I have been trying to find out why this is happening. And I've been told that there's a shortage of staff. Now, the daycare centre was held in Buncrana Hospital, the community hospital in Buncrana. That has since moved to the Slieve Schnat Centre because of work being carried out in Carndonagh Community Hospital and the Buncrana Nursing Unit. So that was okay. People moved to the Slieve Schnat Centre in Dumfries, which is about 5 miles out of Buncrana. Great facility, first-class facility actually for daycare services. But since then, there has been cut back on the services from 5 days a week, that people were able to go maybe 3 or 4 days a week out of that, down to 1 day a week.
Okay, now this would have been a very important outlet for people, even if it was just to meet friends and socialise and have something to eat. This is really impacting people quite in a quite meaningful way.
I can't stress enough, Greg, the importance of it. People that we all went through COVID, but these people, I suppose, who are the most vulnerable in our society, or one of the most vulnerable groups in our society, that maybe some of them didn't understand why they were being isolated during COVID. But now that COVID has lifted, and please God, it has lifted, but they still can't get back. And I'm being told, for anybody with Alzheimer's or dementia, the most important thing to have is continuity, routine, and a purpose to do something.
And of course, too, it's not the case with everyone, but there are families who have their own issues to deal with and what have you, but have become carers as well. It was an opportunity for them to have some free time to do the other things that they needed to do. So in terms of, for some, the respite element of this, that's also lost.
Always most important, and it's not only just because of the respite, Greg. It is the families that are looking after their parents or elderly relatives in their homes that is keeping the pressure off nursing homes that these people are not being put into, and the families want to keep them in their own environment. And it's a two-way street on this particular one. Some families, most families, do not want to put their parents or elderly relatives into nursing homes, so they try their best as long as possible to keep them at home in the environment that they're used to, into a routine that they get used to every single day. But because of the cutbacks in services and because of their work commitments, maybe family commitments or whatever the case may be, they're finding that more and more difficult.
Right, okay. I mean, it's a catch-all excuse or reason, staff shortages, but what's the story behind that? What are they doing to try and address that? How many staff is needed? At what point, what staffing level do they get to whereby services are returned? Or, like in a lot of ways, is COVID being used as a smokescreen to change the services that we provide and how we do it?
Well, first of all, when we got a letter back in May, it was COVID related, that there was a staff shortage. Now I got a letter back in the last few days that there's not, COVID doesn't seem to be a problem. There seems to be a problem within Ashone, that they can't fill these places in Ashone. Now recently the HSE has got 25 nurses that have been recently recruited internationally And these nurses will soon to make their way into community hospitals and care services wherever they might be needed. But what I'm told is because these people have maybe early stages of dementia or Alzheimer's, or maybe just elderly people who are living in their house that want to get out for a couple of hours every day, that these people don't actually need medical services as such, that they don't have open wounds, they don't have any physically, but mentally they need. So carers, if you had one or two nurses and a couple of carers that could look after them.
It sounds to me that you feel that if there was a will, there is a way.
Well, certainly that is. You put it very well. If there's a will, there's a way. And this problem is lying on somebody's desk, and I don't know who it is, but I would ask those people within the HSE to try and get a full complement of staff back to the Slieve Schnat Centre. We're told that service will come back to Buncrana. You see, the beauty about the Buncrana Community Hospital, it was next door to the doctor's surgery, the medical centre. So if there was an emergency...
Makes sense. It makes sense. I just worry, Nicholas, and I'm kind of ashamed of us as a people in that, over 75s have some of the longest waits at our EDs, over 12 hours, not unusual. Cuts to services like this, more difficult for our older population to heat their homes and to pay their way. I mean, this is a terrible indictment on this country and us as a people, really, if we accept it, that we treat our older population like this. And yet everyone's worried about how long the delays in the airport in Dublin would be. And that's fine. It's all relative. Don't get me wrong. But I'll tell you, it's a disgrace what we're doing to the people on whose shoulders we stand in this country.
And Greg, you hit the nail on the head on that, because this is a problem that's going to affect everybody. This is coming down the line for everybody. So this is not. We're not fighting for the elderly people of today. We're fighting for ourselves and in years to come, because we're all heading that direction if we're lucky enough to get that far. So you're 100% right. These are the people who help to build our county and our country, and to be left sitting in the corner watching TV 6 days a week, it's not fair on them. It's not fair in their families. So I'm asking the HSE.
And the reason it's not fair in the families as well, because the families, as you say, want to care for these people. But if they chose not to, look at the extra pressure that would put on the state. They should be rewarded for that, not discouraged. Unfortunately, we're coming up to 10. Councillor Nicholas Crossan, thank you for your time this morning. I appreciate it. All right, take care. Unfortunately, we're highlighting an issue there, but there's not necessarily any good news. All right, we'll be back with more in the 9 till noon show after the news and obituary notices.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages with life cover provided at no additional cost. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
If you've got great photos sitting on your phone or in the cloud, why not visit mcgees.ie and see the range of creative options available. Get larger 7x5 prints for the same price as the standard 6x4s, with 100 prints for just €12. Or select from the great range of photo gifts like mouse and placemats, phone covers, jigsaws and clocks. Click and collect or have them delivered. See what you can do with your favourite photos online at mcgees.ie.
Is your current car ready for change? If so, now is a good time to visit DMG Motors Donegal Town. Choose from their Skoda range, including the Fabia, Scala, Superb, Karoq, Kodiaq, Kamiq, Octavia and the all-new electric Enyaq. Now available for delivery. All fitted with the latest technology, Skoda Connect, with a whole new range of simply clever features. DMG Motors have made buying a new car affordable with finance available on all new vehicles. Test drive the new Skoda today. Call 97213996. Skoda, made for Donegal.
Newly engaged and searching for the perfect venue, the 4-star Courage Hotel Gweedore is gaining popularity as Donegal's leading wedding venue thanks to its reputation for excellent food, beautifully upgraded ballroom and idyllic location on the shore of River Clady, with the majestic Errigal Mountain providing the perfect backdrop. Start planning your wild Atlantic wedding with a private viewing on 07495 32900 and discover our newest wedding packages. And Courage Hotel Gweedore, part of the Gallen Hospitality Group.
This week's Irish Farmers Journal has essential information for all farmers on the new REP scheme. For more, here's Paul Mooney.
You can find out today if your farm is eligible for the new REP scheme, which offers payments of up to €10,000 per year. Department U-turn on ANC land in silage scheme. We examine the scarcity and cost of childcare in rural Ireland.
Plus, don't miss your free 32-page summer food magazine inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal. You cannot afford to miss it.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, I'm Michaela Clark with the news at 10 o'clock. The family of a 7-year-old girl who died following an incident at a swimming pool in Spain are believed to be from Donegal. Emergency services were called to a hotel in Majorca on Monday. The girl was treated for cardiorespiratory arrest using CPR and transferred to a nearby hospital where she passed away yesterday afternoon. Letterkenny University Hospital is under increasing pressure due to outbreaks of COVID-19. 39 infectious cases are currently being dealt with at the hospital. Staff shortages due to an increase in staff testing positive for COVID-19 is also having a knock-on effect. Speaking on today's 9 till noon show, Sean Murphy, manager of Letterkenny University Hospital, says they will continue to monitor the situation.
At this stage, we're doing nothing other than asking people to limit visiting to the areas that are affected by COVID. We will be keeping our visiting policy under review. Quite frankly, Greg, we want to make the hospital as accessible as possible to family members. Right? We recognise the benefits of that. It's getting that balance between having safe levels of access and not introducing potential spread of COVID from the community.
Today is a huge day for Micah homeowners in their strive for 100% redress. Members of the Micah Action Group will appear before a joint housing committee today in a shortened form of pre-legislative scrutiny on the defective concrete blocks bill. Housing Minister Darragh O'Brien said yesterday that he believes the scheme has already been greatly improved before any amendments have been made. Campaigners, however, will today be seeking a number of amendments to the bill before it comes before the Dáil and Seanad. Planning permission has been refused for 60 dwellings in Stranorlar. Permission was applied for by Harrison Ventures Limited for the development at Admoran Stranorlar in May 2021. The proposed development also included associated site works, the upgrading of a vehicle entrance, a new pedestrian entrance and a central landscaped open space containing a kickabout area and toddlers play area. Donna Marie Doherty has more.
In refusing planning permission, the council says the planning authority was not satisfied based on the information submitted, whereby no direct pedestrian access from the site to Stranorlar town and associated amenities, all of which are located on the same side of the road, has been provided for so that pedestrians can safely access existing services. The council added that, accordingly, to permit the development as proposed would materially contravene the policies set out in the 7 Strategic Towns Local Area Plan, would by itself and precedent endanger public safety by the reason of a traffic hazard, and would therefore be contrary to proper planning and sustainable development of the area. The council in addition says the planning authority was not satisfied on the basis of the excessively high density proposed and the submitted layout scheme that adequate traffic safety issues can be accommodated.
Targeted measures towards low-income households only should be the focus of the government against rising prices, according to an economist. It's after the latest ESRI economic report found the economy should continue to grow by nearly 7% this year. However, it's also warning of households facing a drop in living standards as inflation is set to average at 7.1% in 2022. Economics professor at Trinity College Dublin, John Fitzgerald, says the government needs to be careful not to chase inflation.
Fiscal policy has been broadly responsible for the last 10 or 15 years since the outbreak of the financial crisis. Let's keep it that way so that we have a future rather than mortgaging the future, the immediate future, just to ward off some of the pain today for the bulk of the population. For those on low incomes, they need to be protected. The welfare payments should compensate people for the rise in prices.
The Dáil has been told that insurance costs continue to cripple people. Sinn Féin finance spokesperson Donegal Deputy Pearse Doherty says a properly functioning insurance market is vital. Speaking during statements on insurance reform, Deputy Doherty says despite the number of claims falling by 25%, insurance costs are on the rise. He says all sectors are being severely impacted.
Motor insurance premiums remain too high. Liability insurance for small businesses, for voluntary groups and for community organisations remain in a state of crisis. Between 2013 and 2020, premiums for the employer liability component of packages policies increased by 44%, while premiums for public liability component rose by 25%. Since 2009, premiums in the arts, entertainment and recreation sector have more than doubled.
Weather now this morning will be mostly cloudy, but through the afternoon a few bright or sunny periods will develop. Highest temperatures of 15 to 18 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with an update again at 11 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
Obituary notices for Thursday morning, June 23rd. The death has taken place of Ali McGeady, 31, Tara Court, Letterkenny, formerly Mean Dairy, Fulcara. Remains will repose at her home from 2 p.m. this afternoon. Funeral Mass on Saturday at 11 a.m. in the Church of the Irish Martyrs, Gortley, Letterkenny. Burial afterwards in the New Lake Cemetery. The death has taken place of Eddie Duffy, Ahalati, Carrygart. His remains are reposing at his late residence. Funeral from there tomorrow morning, going to the Church of St John the Baptist, Carrygart, for Requiem Mass at 11 a.m, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. House private please to family and friends. The death has occurred of Thomas McLean, Jewish, Balbafay. Remains reposing at his late residence. Funeral leaving his late residence at 10:20 a.m. tomorrow morning for Requiem Mass at 11 a.m. in the Church of Mary Immaculate, Stranorlar. Interment afterwards in Drumbow Cemetery. The Requiem Mass will be streamed live via the parish webcam. The house is strictly private to family only please. The death has occurred of Catherine Kate Mary McColgan, née O'Sullivan, Quincy, Massachusetts, and formerly Bantry, County Cork, wife of Gabriel McColgan, formerly of Ushcaheen, Muff. Her remains will be reposing in Coakley Funeral Directors, Bantry, on Tuesday evening, June 28th, from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Requiem Mass Wednesday, June 29th at 12 noon in St Finbarr's Church, Bantry, followed by interment in Abbey Cemetery, Bantry. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Highland Radio.
At On Post, we believe in giving you more power over how you bank. That's why AIB and Bank of Ireland customers can now lodge and withdraw money at any of our 900 post offices across Ireland 6 days a week. That's right, your bank is in your post office for personal and business banking alike, meaning you can bank wherever you live or work. Visit your local post office or onpost.com/everydaybanking. On Post, your money for your world. Allied Irish Banks plc and Bank of Ireland are regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
All right, a caller says, I just want to take the opportunity to stress the invaluable service the Buncrana Day Centre provided my father. He attended 5 days a week in Buncrana while he was in the early stages of dementia, and it helped us give him supervised freedom for as long as possible. He wouldn't have been in a nursing home much sooner. He would have been in a nursing home much sooner if we didn't have that outlet. That comes in from Leanne, who will understand the importance of such services outlined. This caller says GPs don't answer the phone, but if you email, you get a reply. Some of the older generation and people with disabilities are unable to use email and have to rely on other people to do it for them. So this is not fair on the GP's behalf. And again, in fairness, by the way, it varies from region to region. And I know I say that a lot, but there are some GPs, and we'll get contact from their patients that are operating very differently to that. So as I say, that's why I repeat myself, and I'm sorry, but it's just in the interests of fairness. Right, this caller says, Greg, I was referred to the ED twice recently for something that did not need it. The doctors need to reopen and start treating patients rather than passing the problem on. But again, from the general manager of the hospital, he says he can't say if it's a factor or not a factor, but he doesn't think it's a principal factor. A caller believes the MICA scheme is a joke. My mother and father-in-law are still paying a mortgage at 64, 65. They will never get a loan to finish the property. Why is the government not going after the banks? They've received all interests charged, but again, profit before people, disgraceful. Well, the governor of the central bank, I put that question to him in terms of, should the banks be doing more because we are going to be restoring their assets to full value, and questioned whether or not these properties were and the value of them were reflected on the bank's books. And he quite clearly said, and I was a bit surprised because I didn't believe it was the case, but he says that the problem with MICA around the country is reflected on the bank's books. So there you go. Please, can someone tell me why the Garda vetting system is the way it is? I'm 40 plus and went back to study as an SNA. I wasn't a great student when I was at school, but I worked really hard at this and got way and above what I thought I'd get. I've roughly 40 CVs out all over the country, or the county, sorry. But for every school I drop a CV in, I have to apply to be Garda vetted. Is there no joined up thinking that once you're vetted, you are a number and a wee barcode fob that can be scanned? As of now, I've 43 vetting applications in the system. Well, listen, I would say a compromise there would be that if you were provisionally vetted, could you not sort of get a provisional vetting from the Gardaí, and then when you move into whatever line of work you are, once you've been approved for the job, once you've been hired, then go through a vetting process. To have to go through vetting so many times to apply, especially when we need as many people like our listener as we can working in these fields, it doesn't make any sense. Something has to be done. Is there a cost associated with it? Either is it free? But it's also a terrible waste of resources, whoever is processing all of this. Surely, even if we can't do one vetting that covers everything for security reasons, at least have some sort of a pre-vetting process whereby someone can apply for a job saying, yeah, I've been pre-vetted and we'll go through the vetting process if you give me the job. Would that not make sense? Or maybe I'm being naive. Wouldn't be the first time I've been accused of such. A caller says, I was recently in the emergency department. The place was covered in coffee cups and newspapers on the floor, and doctors and staff not wearing masks, just the receptionist. Another, Greg, I can't understand Letterkenny Hospital visiting and someone being accompanied at appointments. I attend both Galway and Dublin Hospital last week. Not an issue at all. You just wear a mask. Yet I'm not able to accompany my partner when our appointments in Letterkenny for the last 2 years. Okay. I was in Letterkenny Hospital 3 weeks. No one did ask people to put on masks. And as I say, this is not to the wider conversation about mask wearing in schools or in public or in shops. I'm not talking about that. But this is a healthcare setting. And when the hospital manager says, look, our business is to make sure people don't catch COVID, I would have thought that anyone on campus within the building should be wearing one. But anyway. Greg, I was in hospital a few times during COVID-19. There was staff members running around without a mask. They had folders in their hands and I was asked to wear a mask. I'd like you to put that to Sean Murphy. I've asked that question before and we got an answer to that, but it might come to me, the answer. Just off the top of my head, I can't come up with it. Hi Greg, your interview with Charlie McConalogue. We have to take everything that man says with a pinch of salt, according to this listener. The government position re MICA is all smoke and mirrors, as with everything else they do, supposedly for the good of ordinary people. We have to vote them out at the next election. A caller says, I attended Mr. Vargas' breast clinic yesterday in Letterkenny Hospital, had an examination, mammogram and ultrasound, and results in less than 2 hours. Highly efficient. Well done to all the staff. Last one before we take the bingo numbers. Greg, purchased a takeaway on Saturday night for a treat for myself and my friend. My friend's food was chicken Cajun dish? Chicken, I don't know, Cajun? Chicken, I don't know what it is. Anyway, it was a chicken dish. On tasting, her food tasted a seafood flavour. And being allergic, intolerant to the same, became instantly worried and subsequently sick. I rang the takeaway, asked why this happened, to be told repeatedly that prawn was added for flavour. I reiterated I ordered a chicken dish and emphasised the sickness and distress this caused, eventually to be offered a feeble apology. I feel I need to report this negligence to the Food Safety Authority or the HSE, as do not ever want anyone to experience the latter. Please advise. P.S. It's only today that my friend is feeling any better. I mean, if you feel you want to complain, do. I think it should be made clear, and if you are on these premises, there normally is a menu up on the screen, and it will say, not on the screen, but on the wall, and it normally say that certain dishes, even if it's a chicken dish or a beef dish, may turn derivatives. I mean, particularly with Chinese cooking, obviously, there's a lot of fish sauce used in various dishes as well. So probably would avoid it if I was allergic to fish anyway, unless I scrutinise the dishes. But that being said, I don't know what you do in that regard. What do our listeners think? 086 60 25,000. WhatsApps and texts 086 60 25,000. Good morning to Annie, Michael, Mary, Anne, Yvonne, DJ, Beth, Kathleen, Felamy, and Rosemary, and Grania, Angela, Audrey, all amongst those watching the programme on our website or on social media. You're very welcome along. You can hop on there as well too and see many of our guests as they join us via a video link. You go to our website, highlandradio.com. You can watch in your browser there, or if it suits you better on your TV or your tablet or computer, go to our YouTube channel, Highland Radio Ireland, or our Facebook channel, Highland Radio News and Sport, or Highland Radio, and watch us there. €8,000 in the bingo bank today. Hopefully one of you will clean it out. Here are the numbers.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Thursday, the 23rd of June, Jackpot Day. You're playing for the jackpot prize of €8,000 on the pink sheet. The reference number is S4. It's game number 25. The jackpot number is number 9. This number can come out in any position from the next 10 numbers drawn. And now, here are your daily numbers. 76, 11, 65, 17, 70, 42, 35, 48, 57, and finally 26. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
This summer, think barbecue, think fresh meat and poultry. All available every day at Chrysler Supermarket. Think fresh bread, salads, sauces and drinks. We have everything to make the barbecue extra special and tasty. Open 7 days for your convenience. Chrysler Supermarket, where quality and value are assured.
We understand. You have to move your bank, and taking that first step can be daunting. But when you choose to move to permanent TSB, you're not just choosing an award-winning current account. You're taking the first step to easier, everyday banking. Apply for our digital current account in-app today. It takes just minutes. After that, everything else will be that little bit less daunting. Don't just move. Choose permanent TSB. Application in your sole name for over 18 personal customers and residents of the Republic of Ireland only. Qualifying criteria, terms and conditions apply. Permanent TSB PLC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Green Shoes in Letterkenny and Fulcara have shoes for every occasion. All your favourite brands, from Una Healy, Tommy Bow and Echo, to Kate Appleby, Marcosi and Skechers, plus many more. Shop LK and One for All gift cards are gratefully accepted in store. Green Shoes in Letterkenny at Market Square and Letterkenny Shopping Centre, Fulcara, and online at greenshoes.com. Green Shoes, with the perfect fit for every foot.
If you're getting married, the in-house design team in BizPrint can get all your wedding stationery and signage needs customised to your requirements. Just visit weddinginvites.ie or call BizPrint at Port Road, Letterkenny on 9177955.
Donegal Vintage Club are having a tractor and vintage and classic car run this Sunday, the 26th in Ramelton. €20 per tractor or car, with registration at 12 noon at the quay, followed by refreshments. Proceeds in aid of Care of the Aged, the RNLI and local charities. This ad is sponsored by Horsky's Eurospar and Ice Cream Parlour Ramelton.
Our next guest on the 9 till noon show is listener John. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
I'm doing very well indeed. Now, for many people, traffic wardens, they're not great fans of them, bane of their lives in some cases, but you believe traffic wardens should be empowered further?
I do, actually, yeah.
Tell me why.
Because of the lack of guards. I actually think a lot of people, as you'd notice yourself when you're driving, would be parked in yellow boxes when they shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
And the traffic wardens are walking around, very good traffic wardens who do good jobs. They're walking around and observing this all the time. I'm sure are frustrated that they can't do anything. But I think they should be allowed to ticket people who are sitting in yellow boxes.
And these are the yellow boxes that you're not allowed to sit on at junctions, for example. You're on about those grid boxes, the likes outside, the likes of Gallagher's Hotel in Letterkenny and others, of course.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right, okay. And also you believe they should have a role to play in people using their phone while driving?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially they're flying up and down the town and on their mobile as if they're allowed to do so, but they're not allowed to do so, and yet there's nothing to prevent them except for the odd prosecution.
Yeah. Is there enough traffic wardens, I wonder, to make any meaningful difference in this situation? Maybe would more sort of on-street guarded patrols be more useful?
Well, I think there's, in Letterkenny alone, I think there's 3 traffic wardens that I'm familiar with, and it would give them more employment and bring in more revenue.
Do you get frustrated at what you see out in the roads, John?
You do get frustrated. You're sitting at the lights at Gallagher's Hotel, for example, and people are sitting in yellow boxes, and you're observing the rules.
Yeah.
Not that I observe the rules all the time, but...
there is times with that junction, though, you know, because the lights don't necessarily reflect what's going on down the town, and the sequence can be quite short if you're heading down towards the town. Of course, you can't be heading up the town from the main street. I just wonder if you know, there is a bit of driver behaviour issue there, but also is that junction a bit of a problem? Do you know, because I've found myself thinking the traffic is moving. You know, you're one of the last cars before the lights change, and you try to make your way, make your way onto the main street. Next thing you find yourself stuck with the back end of the car in the yellow boxes.
Yeah, well, you're stuck for the simple reason is that people are trying to park up maybe down the street a wee bit, you know, and that's understandable. That's the only way they can do it, but they certainly shouldn't be sitting in the yellow boxes, in my opinion.
Okay, John, we'll see what others think. Thank you very much indeed. 086 60 25,000. Let's get to more of your comments here. Re the massive disruption caused by the rail strike in Britain. Aren't we so fortunate that we will never experience such a problem in Donegal? Exactly. That is not going to be a problem. Hi, Greg. Yes, a family member who works as a nurse in the COVID wards at LUH at the most difficult time in our lives only received her €1,000 this week, and 2/3 of her colleagues haven't received that at all. I'm 78 years old, says this listener. My and my husband's medical cards are out of date. We sent away forms to get them renewed. We're both on pensions and have been for years. We were told they want more evidence. Going now for 4 months. It is showing that my husband is still working. He hasn't worked in years. They want us to sort it online. I'm on so much medication, I'm afraid that if I need to renew my prescriptions, I won't be able to pay for it. Anyway, out there to fast track that, any advice for those listeners? It's a problem. And money is very tight at the moment without having to worry then where you're going to have to get new money. Going to have to get new money then to pay for your medical expenses. Raymond joins us on the programme now. Hi, Raymond.
Good morning, Greg. How's the form?
I'm all right. What's the story today?
No, I was reading in the Irish Independent on the internet yesterday about, how do you put it, 4,000 senior civil servants making over $150,000 a year. A lot of them getting apparently 9% or €20,000 annual raises.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking to myself, my goodness, out where I live here, a lot of, small farmers, we'd love to earn €20,000 a year. And, there's a lot of other people, Donegal here, don't even make that. And, if you're in charge of, I think, if I remember correctly, maybe a year ago, you had mentioned, and maybe I'm wrong, that the head of the HSE, who last year made somewhere about $430,000 in his total package, declined to be on your show. And, I'm just, sort of wondering, it seems to be,
Right, listen, let me play devil's advocate here, of course, because I think we're all struggling now. The overwhelming majority of us now are having to make changes to our lives, not just on non-essentials, but also on essentials. We're all reviewing how we're living our lives. That being said, 90% of these civil servants who are to get a pay rise, and please, I'm playing devil's advocate here, are like hospital consultants. They work in very senior roles in our hospitals, on the wards. This is not a pay rise as such. I believe this is actually pay restoration, money that was cut from them during the last recession. So, of course, we could be very motivated to say, look, this is completely unfair. Let's get rid of this government. But if you're a hospital consultant and we're struggling already to retain them, and 90% of those getting the pay rise are hospital consultants, is there not some justification for meeting this pay rise?
Oh, Greg, I totally agree with you 100% on that. If you're a GP, you're a hospital consultant, most definitely you should get it. Most definitely. I mean, they provide an extremely valuable service to everybody here. And, I also firmly believe nurses should be adequately compensated, and I don't think they are. But, I mean, if you're the people overlooking the hospital consultants and you're overlooking our local Letterkenny Hospital, which I've been told is basically, I'm not trying to be offensive to anybody, but it's basically a waiting room for Galway and Dublin. And I think you had
I think you're doing a slight disservice, but I certainly understand where you're coming from, and in some cases you're right, Raymond. But and the thing I don't get about this, and we've heard it too with sort of RTE presenters, the argument being made that this is what you have to pay to get the best. That if you don't pay them this money in the higher ranks of the civil service, if you don't pay this money, they'll go into the private sector. I find that hard to believe. I think we've got a lot of very clever, intelligent people here that would be more than happy to do some of this work for, even if it was 150 grand, that would save us 300 grand per post in some cases. But we presume that they're about to run out the door and go and work in the media's case for the BBC. They're not getting that paid that over there either. Or they're going to be, airlifted out to a hospital in Kansas to work. I would like to test that. Let's test that. Let's see who we can get for 150k.
Now, Greg, I totally agree with you. Getting back, I think it's to the head of the HSE. If you were over in Britain in a similar job, you'd be getting half as much as you're getting paid here, and you'd have 10, 25 times as many, citizens to take care of, over in the British healthcare system. I mean, you'd have a serious, serious responsibility. Here, you really don't have responsibility. It's everybody covers everybody's back in here, and it seems with this permanent government, you scratch my back, I'll protect your back. And it seems, you have this Taoiseach and Taoiseach, and they're always deferring to the civil service like they can never do anything wrong. And, you look at Letterkenny, and, it's a terrible situation.
There is a severe lack of accountability in this country in certain areas. That and you've said it yourself, because I was going to say the same thing, so we're agreeing to some extent. At the very least, you should be accountable. If things aren't working well, you should be demoted or sacked or whatever it might be. If you're caught up in a scandal, you should be suspended without pay until such time as that's resolved, providing there's enough evidence to justify that. But no, it's just, and this is why people are disinterested. This is why we as a population just accept it for now. I have a feeling, though, the rising cost of living is going to get people motivated. They're going to get out in the streets. I think that's to come in the next year.
Greg, you can't forecast the future. I mean, it looks like there is potentially a very ugly recession coming very quickly that could last 3 to 5 years. That could be much worse than the Celtic Tiger crash. And a lot of people are going to get hurt very, very badly. But there's sort of an irony here. On one hand, you're the, in the Doyle or whatever at the top, no problem giving these people, 9% or 20,000. But if you're, a junior civil servant, we don't want to give you more than 2.5%. And there's questions of justice here, and who's paying for all of this, and where's the money to come from? In the era of sort of 0% interest rates and sometimes negative interest rates, you could be seeing 10% interest rates in another year's time. And
the system is set up as the system is set up as such that to suppress inflation, you take money out of people's pockets. Now, this is regular people like us, not the richest or the biggest companies. They, in a recession or inflationary times, they make more money. So the way governments around the world, it's not exclusive to here, the way they suppress or try and limit inflation is to not give pay rises and to not make drastic cuts and to not put money back in our pockets. Why is no one asking, right? Why is no one asking what were governments doing, knowing that there would be a bounce back in the economy post-COVID? Why were they doing nothing to limit inflation back then? You know, why has it gone up to 7, 8, 9, 10, 11%? And now we're saying, all right, we can't pay people any more money. We can't give people too much money or they'll actually spend it, heavens forbid. You know, and we just go, we accept that. We don't go, well, how did you get us into this position? What did you do or not do that allowed us to get to this point?
Greg, I'm not wise enough, and the question and answer is way above my pay grade, if you will. You know, it's... You
need a 9% rise, Raymond.
Yeah, yes, maybe I do. I'll take a 1% gladly.
Yeah.
Greg, I don't, you know, like there's a fundamental question of democracy. Does democracy work in here? And you know, you would have a much better handle on that than I would.
I'm just the exact same as you, Raymond. I'm just a normal person. Just happen to sit in here every day. I'm affected by all the things and have the same level of knowledge and in most cases less knowledge than everyone else. I'm kind of just more of a chairperson than anything else. But Raymond, thanks for the only thing is you know, the problem I have with this is you can't look to another country and say, well, look, we should be doing it like them. I mean, you can talk about, people put up a picture of the price of petrol in Malta, right? But that doesn't tell the full story of what life is like in Malta. You know, but look what's happening in England, France, Germany, the United States, Canada, you know, China. Do you know what I'm on about? This is global. How much influence do governments have on this stuff? Who's pulling the strings?
Greg, I you know, that's above my ability to answer.
Me too. It's a question that, it's above mine as well, Raymond. We're in the same boat. Maybe we need to start getting answers to those questions. I don't know.
No, I mean, we definitely do. But I mean, it seems in Dublin, the greatest fear for somebody in a Doyle is to be the odd man out. You can't stand and ask a simple question and get an accurate, truthful answer anytime. It's always like, you know, like this thing with this 9% or 20,000 euros. It's, we can't do anything other than legally. Well, why? You know, because that's legally how you have to do it.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, I mean, who determined it was legally? And it's all the same people scratching each other's backs in here. You know, I take care of you, you take care of me situation. But, you know, as long as somebody else is paying the bill, as long as Greg Hughes is paying it, don't worry about it.
Yeah, unfortunately, and I know what you're saying to be true, to do with local issues and you know, maybe hopefully the truth comes out in the wash and it does go right all the way to the top. Raymond, nice to speak to you again. Thank you very much indeed. That's Raymond, a regular contributor to the programme. Nice to hear his views. 086 60 25,000. I want to hear yours too. Greg, at this stage of COVID, should we not now... Greg, at this stage of COVID, should we wear a mask ourselves and not have to be told to do so? Well, that's the WHO. You can read in the papers and you can listen to whomever says the WHO very clear in it. They do not believe the future of dealing with these types of situations is mandates. Okay, so the WHO will not in the future be mandating or suggesting a mask mandate. It's up to people to make their own decisions. Should they be encouraged to do so? I think there's some ads saying so. Read the takeaway allergens are required to be displayed on menus by law. Yes, but what happens if you ring up? You see, what they are. But what if you ring up? What is the law there? And lots of people are doing it now. If you ring up and just place your order and say, "Can I have this? Can I have that?" Is the responsibility at that point on the person ringing the takeaway to say, by the way, is there prawns in the chicken, or is there anything in the chicken other than chicken? Or is it the responsibility of the person answering the phone that probably already got shaking something in the fire at the same time? Are we expecting them to say, any allergies in the house? I don't know. Let us know. We as a family use the day services in Buncrana. This caller says, this service was available in the area 5 days and now it's down to 3. My parent was using it 4 days and it was wonderful, giving both me and them a break. We're down to 1 day a week now. Every morning, the first thing I am asked is, have I anywhere to go today? And when I say no, they say, how boring. I do not want to put my parent into care, but this is pushing me to have no option because I cannot cope on my own. The service is wonderful and so very valuable to our parents. And so well and articulately put, and it gives us a real insight into the dilemma. It's a dilemma for you Because I presume, you know, with the services you had previously, you were able to manage, and now you're struggling to manage. There might be pangs of guilt there as well, but then you have to say, well, I can't do this any longer. And you shouldn't have to feel like that. You've been placed in that position.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Is your bank leaving town? Letterkenny Credit Union is now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features with no appointment necessary to open your account.
For a great early season lawnmower deal, visit Gartley Sales and Hire. Exclusive stockists of Stiga in the Northwest. Mowers, trimmers and hedge trimmers. Full trade-in service available at Gartley Sales and Hire, Gartley, Letterkenny. Call 91262276.
New this week in Home Store and More. All lightweight luggage is half price. But better hurry, because when all our half price lightweight luggage is gone, it's gone. Also, all photo frames and all summer duvets are still half price. But when all our half price photo frames and all our half price summer duvets are gone, they're definitely gone. Order online before 2 p.m. for next day delivery, or drop by your local Home Store and More. Home Store and More. A happy home.
If the medical experts get it wrong, everything changes. From misdiagnosis or delayed diagnosis to surgical injury or even poor treatment. All have physical, emotional and financial consequences. We're here to help. So if your treatment didn't go according to plan, speak to our experienced medical negligence team at McElhenney and Associates. Find us online or call 074 917 5989. McElhenney and Associates Solicitors, Stranorlar. In contentious business, a solicitor may not calculate fees or other charges as a percentage or proportion of any award or settlement.
When spending time at our beaches, rivers and lakes, put water safety first. Safe always supervises children closely. Safe wears a life jacket when boating or angling. Safe swims within your depth and stays within your depth. This is Water Safety Ireland. Better safe than sorry. For advice, visit watersafety.ie. Supported by the Government of Ireland.
Getting value on your shopping has never been more important. That's why at Super Value we have great offers like Super Value Fresh Irish Fillet Steak save 33%. Selected goodies like Cadbury, Nestle and Robinsons, any 3 for €4. And get new weekly money off vouchers on the Real Rewards app. For low prices that compete with anyone, it's got to be Super Value.
All right, Jim, good morning to you.
Good morning, and how are you, right?
I'm doing good. Are you going to bring a bit of positivity in my life, Jim?
I don't know. Well, it depends what sort of questions you're asking.
All right, okay. You have good words for our healthcare system, I think, really. We'll start with that, will we?
The truth is about it, I am fed up listening to people complaining about Letterkenny Hospital. Now, we have been patients in Letterkenny Hospital on and off for this past 50 years.
Yes.
54 years, to be correct. And we were always treated as VIPs. Couldn't have been better treated in any way. And to listen to people complaining, I wish they were in some other country and taken to some of the hospitals to see the way you be treated.
Have you ever sat for 12 hours in the emergency department at Letterkenny?
I was taken to Letterkenny Hospital roughly about 3 weeks ago, near enough on conscience, and that's the department I was taken into. And I was taken in by ambulance, which were 2 gentlemen apparently that took me in as well. And I was seen to immediately.
Yes.
And I think any patient going in that is seriously ill, they're seen to...
Oh, 100%. No, that we very rarely get complaints in that regard, Jim. We're on the same page there.
Well, it's any time I listen to it on the radio, it's complain.
Yes.
Every person that I talked to in Letterkenny Hospital that worked in it could not have been nicer or helpful in any way.
Okay.
Now, I was taken to a hospital in America a good number of years ago on conscience, and there were 2 of my sisters with me, and the first question they were asked, had money or had insurance, and the truth was about it, I had neither.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't even look at me.
Wow.
My 2 sisters had to pay for the ambulance that took me where I had the accident to the hospital. They had to pay that ambulance, and they wouldn't let the ambulance take me to my sister's house.
Do you remember how long ago was that, Jim?
That was in 1965.
65?
Yes.
Right, okay, so there's no point talking about how much it costs then.
Well, I don't know how much it costs.
I was going to say, yeah, right.
because it was my sister paid for it at the end of the day, because I was just new in America at the time.
So what are you saying is, Jim, and you're well capable of saying this yourself, but just see if I'm reading it correctly. I mean, every health system has its flaws, but before we're overly critical, we should be looking at what other people have to endure, even in well-developed countries like the United States of America.
Yeah, that's for sure. Like, I don't know what people want Letterkenny Hospital to do. I think it's brilliant to have it there. We have had 8 children born there. My wife was always treated the same as what I was treated. Couldn't have been better, from the doctors, nurses, all staff, even the cleaners coming into the ward. They couldn't have been nicer to me than what they were. And did they want papers up, or did they want anything in, or what do you want to eat? It was just brilliant.
Okay. Jim, you sound like you might have a book in you, do you? Between all your travelling and your different experiences in different places and raising 8 children, there's a book in there somewhere, a manuscript, is there?
Well, I wouldn't have the brains to write a book, I'll put it that way. But I am sore listening to people complaining about our hospital.
No, I get that, and I understand that, Jim, and it's good for balance, and I've invited the likes of yourself to come on and put that across, and that's why I'm just letting you speak, because it's good to get the positive stuff out there too, Jim, and I appreciate it. You're feeling okay now, I hope?
Oh, thank God, I'm back near enough to square one again.
Brilliant, well done. Okay, hopefully we get some good weather for you to enjoy soon.
That'd be nice.
All right, Jim, we'll see what we can do.
Thank you very much.
All right, take care. That's Jim there, with very positive things to say about his experience with the Irish healthcare system. And, of course, he's got experiences in other countries to contrast that with. Right, okay, should I take a piece of music now or leave it till the 3rd hour? Caroline, no one's telling me. I was going to take a piece of music, no? No, okay, we have calls to get to. Greg, can you ask the public when is the last time anyone walked on the Inch Wildfowl Walk? I wasn't last night and was shocked at how overgrown and out of condition it's become. What a beautiful walk going to Rack and Ruin. What is the point in creating these fantastic spaces and then not caring for them? I'm not familiar with that at all, unfortunately, so I can't offer any commentary, but... someone say they've recently walked the Inch Wildfowl Walk and weren't happy with its condition. A caller says a few more housing centres like Ardra in County Trinity Court in Newtown Cunningham and Warren View Manor in Muff, as well as have been taken Lifford, among some of them great initiatives run by voluntary committees. Okay, that's off the back of a conversation we were having there recently with a guest who was talking about, local housing groups being established to address the needs of the housing. Oh, okay, we're going to take a break. After that, we're going to be joined by Sinn Féin's spokesperson on housing, Owen O'Brien. Be very interested to see what he has to say about the defective blocks enhanced scheme.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages with life cover provided at no additional cost. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
This week's Irish Farmers Journal has essential information for all farmers on the new REP scheme. For more, here's Paul Mooney.
You can find out today if your farm is eligible for the new REP scheme, which offers payments of up to €10,000 per year. Department U-turn on ANC land in silage scheme. We examined the scarcity and cost of childcare in rural Ireland.
Plus, don't miss your free 32-page summer food magazine inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal. You cannot afford to miss it.
Milford Tiles, wood flooring and bathware. Milford Retail Park now open. Large range of wall and floor tiles on display and in stock. Over 70 different laminate floors to suit every pocket. Tilers and wood fitters available. New bathware showroom now open. Milford Tiles, wood flooring and bathware. 083 091 0707.
Buncrana Music Festival, Saturday and Sunday, July 2nd and 3rd. Dan McCabe, Moncrief, Hothouse Flowers, Paddy Casey, The Fratellis, Hudson Taylor, Leah Hart and many more. Buncrana Music Festival, July 2nd and 3rd. Tickets on sale at buncranamusicfestival.com.
In 2018, Toyota cut through the confusion, completely ceasing production of diesel passenger cars, lowering harmful emissions and providing certainty for Irish drivers everywhere. And Kelly's Toyota are proud to be part of that hybrid electric journey. Visit Kelly's Toyota, Letterkenny or Mount Charles today to see what makes Toyota Ireland's best-selling car brand in 2021 and 2022. You'll never take a wrong turn with Toyota. Built for a better world. Best-selling claim based on most recent monthly figures.
For great food in the heart of Letterkenny's Cathedral Quarter, step into Dillon's Hotel. Using only the best local produce, Dillon's serve an extensive menu every day from 12. Perfect for a quick bite, a relaxed lunch or a leisurely dinner. Try the renowned 4-course Sunday lunch with full table service. Or if you work in town, why not pre-order and have your lunch waiting? Great food and service, 7 days a week at Dillon's Hotel Letterkenny, with live music every Friday and Saturday night. Visit dillons-hotel.ie.
OK, you're welcome back to the programme, and onto it we welcome now Sinn Féin Deputy Owen O'Brien. He's the the party's spokesperson on housing, local government and heritage. A very good morning to you, and thanks for taking the time out to speak to us this morning. OK, I'm not hearing you there. I wonder, are you still muted? You are indeed.
Apologies, rookie mistake. Rookie mistake. I should know after 2 years of this.
I know, but still, it happens every day, so it's no issue. Okay, let's get into, before we talk about the process that's happening today and where we ought to go, just to find out Sinn Féin's position on a lot of this stuff. Would Sinn Féin include foundations in the new redress scheme from the off, and would the cap be increased to cover that work?
Yes, and yes, and we would also insist that the rates would be revised by the SCI in advance of the opening of any new scheme. It simply makes no sense to automatically exclude foundations, although I have some information that we've just got from the Minister on the floor of the Dáil in respect to that. But if foundations have deleterious material, they have to be included. That means the rates have to go up, and that means the cap has to go up.
So would you include this from the get-go, or would you do as the government is? It's the NSAI, I think, they're getting to look at the foundations, and they're going to make a determination, we're told, early next year. Or do you think we should be going to international experts to find out the situation? What would your process be there?
The first thing is it's important to be clear what the government is actually proposing. So the final version of the bill, which will be published later on today, the Minister says, will be silent on the issue of foundations. So that is a change from the general scheme that is in the public domain that excluded foundations. The NSAI are expected to report in the first quarter of next year. And if, as we suspect, led by the science, they include foundations, the government will then have to do regulations, and that will take a couple of months. And therefore, foundations, if they are to be included, won't get included in the scheme until midway through next year. But one of the other crucial things is the Minister isn't allowed to revise the calculations of the square footage or square meterage rate until a year after the enactment of the legislation, which is at the latter end of next year. And as you know, and your listeners will know, the current SCI rates per square metre or foot exclude foundations. So what does that mean? On the basis of what we're hearing from the Minister today, it would be at the very earliest at the end of next year before somebody who has deleterious materials in the foundations, whether it's pyrrhotite or pyrite or others, or a problem beneath the foundations in the aggregate, it would be the end of next year before they can even apply successfully.
And that's so if things move as quickly as the government might want. I mean, there's nothing to say that time frame would be met. That's best case scenario.
It is best case scenario, and as we know with this entire process, I mean, first of all, the legislation that we will be discussing in committee today, that was meant to be published in the end of March, then in April, then the first week in June, second week in June, and third week of June. So those timelines are the timelines we've been given by the department, and absolutely experience tells us they could be slipped.
If you talked about following the science, and we heard similar comments from Minister Charlie McConalogue yesterday. So in following the science, okay, we have defective blocks on an exterior of a house. We know they're going to be defective on the interior. Then we check the foundations. The foundations are fine. We can't have a scheme, can we, whereby we fix the outer leaf of a home, even if the option is there to return to the scheme. That is not following the science, because we would be repairing a house knowing it has mica and knowing that over time it is likely to start deteriorating internally. And speaking to people in the know, changing an outer leaf is doable, inner leaf much more problematic, of course. So if we are to follow the science, your party then presumably would say that in most cases we're looking at full demolition.
Yeah, we have to follow the science. I'm not an engineer, I'm not an expert in deleterious materials, but if a qualified engineer goes in and surveys a property, and if their recommendation is that not only the outer leaf but the inner leaf and possibly the foundations need to be addressed, then that's what needs to happen. And that's not only better for the homeowner, by the way, that is better for the taxpayer, because if we only do partial remediation now on a property that is eventually going to need full remediation, it's highly likely that at a later stage,
right, well, just with that in mind,
those prices will go up. So do the job right now.
Yeah, what you're saying makes absolute sense, right? And what the homeowners, everyone affected, it makes absolute sense, okay? But the government is resisting that. You must have given yourself time to reflect on as to why they would set this scheme up as they are doing so then. What do you believe? Why do you think they're setting it up like this that is contrary to common sense?
I think at the centre of the long delay in getting this revised scheme done and the many weaknesses that it still has is that there isn't agreement at the heart of government over what should actually be done here. I don't believe there's agreement between the Minister for Housing and his officials. I don't believe that there is a consensus between the Minister for Housing and his party colleagues in public expenditure reform and finance. And I do think there is an attempt in the short term and in a very short-sighted way to reduce the liability to the state. The difficulty is governments have been doing that since this problem was
first.
Yeah,
but even that doesn't make sense, because this is...
There's a lot of things that don't make sense about this government, I'm afraid.
Well, yeah, but just not... I'm not going to comment about the government not making sense, but this is not going to be like 7,000 houses fixed in 2023. Naturally, this is going to be a scheme that runs for years and years and years. How many houses we get done in 2023, 2024, 2025? I suspect it's going to be very, very few. So I don't understand, again, then, the motivation for the government trying to limit liability early on. That, that explanation that you gave, that also doesn't make sense to me.
Well, it's not that it isn't accurate. It's hard to believe.
Yeah.
But if we look at, for example, what government did with the Pirate scheme in Leinster, it was exactly the same. They delayed the introduction of the scheme, they underfunded it, and eventually it ended up costing more. The same is going to happen with fire safety defects and other structural defects that's going to come out of another working group in the department on Celtic Tiger era building defects. There does seem to be, over a decade since we first discovered these defects, an approach of government which is short-term, limit immediate liability, but the long-term cost, particularly to the homeowners and to the tenants, but ultimately to the taxpayers, much greater. I know that's hard to understand, and it shouldn't be that way, but that is my best guesstimate as to why we're in the position we're in.
Would this scheme under a Sinn Féin government be a true 100% redress scheme? Because by Leo Varadkar's own comments on this programme, Minister Charlie McConaughey's problem, an undetermined amount of people will have to put money in. Now, the dogs in the streets know everyone is going to have to come up with at least 10, 20,000 euro. They don't have the ability to do so. Simply can't do it. So under your stewardship, would this be a 100% redress scheme?
Yes, the core principle is very simple. If you buy something, you take it home and it's defective, what do? You bring it back the next day and you get a refund or replacement. That applies for everything else. It should apply for the most expensive purchase in your life. One of the differences between ourselves and the government is not only that we would deliver genuine 100% redress, but also in addition to very, very substantial taxpayer commitments, and we proposed an amount of 200 million that government should have spent this year in this. We also believe that industry is going to have to make a contribution as well.
We'll come
it
to
is not
that.
acceptable.
So you're saying that...
Let me make the point though. It is not acceptable that the taxpayer pays the full bill when quarries, block manufacturers, construction companies, insurance companies and banks walk away scot-free. So they have to come to the table as well.
Yeah, but a lot of those companies have changed ownership, no longer exist, simply don't have the insurance to cover this. So we go back to a levy on construction, which is a levy on every person. They're paying twice. So your solution to this is a levy on first-time buyers who are already paying through this through their general taxation, having to pay for this again. So effectively, the people that you talk of punishing, the block suppliers, those with oversight, so on and so forth, get off scot-free while the people pay twice. That's your solution.
Well, it depends on how the levy is designed. There is no doubt whether it's the taxpayer footing the bill through exchequer revenue or a voluntary or mandatory levy on industry, a lot of those costs filter back to the ordinary working person. That is the great scandal about all of this. But the idea that any section of industry will make no contribution to this is unacceptable. It's unacceptable from the point of view of natural justice, but also just from a practical view of costing it. Phil Hogan promised a levy on industry back when the Pyrite scheme was being introduced in Leinster, but following a threat of legal action from the non-life insurance industry, he backed down. Pascal Donoghue only yesterday in a parliamentary question to me said they are looking at introducing a levy, albeit on the construction sector, to raise about 80 million euros annually. This is going to take a decade or more to clean up, not just the defective block and foundations, but all of the other defects. And therefore, we have to access every source of funds. But what I will say to you is this. If I owned a 1,000 square foot home in Donegal or Mayo today, I am going to have to contribute 30, 40, 50, 60,000 euros to bring it back to the standard it should have been.
A lot of that money...
That is not right.
Okay.
The scheme shouldn't allow for that.
And a lot of that money would be spent on a new driveway, for example, because the machinery coming in is probably going to destroy a driveway. Footpaths may have to be replaced. A lot of people build a garage at the same time they're building the house. Are you saying all of those costs would be covered under a Sinn Féin government?
Absolutely. Any defective building, any defective portion of the building that needs replaced has to be replaced. I mean, I made the point today on another radio show. If I buy a car and I take it home and it's defective, and if I bring it back to the garage the next day, and if they say, no problem, Owen, we'll replace the car, but you're not getting the seats, you're not getting the steering wheel, we'll give you wheels but no tires, you'd look at them as if they were mad.
Yeah, but if the car was in a garage and the garage around it was also damaged by some means or mechanism by the car, I'm talking about fixing the garage as well. In other words, there's going to be a lot of expense, i.e., driveways, footpaths, garages, things like that. You're saying if this scheme will be enhanced under your government to cover all of those costs?
What I am saying is natural justice dictates a like-for-like replacement.
So how much...
If the product is defective and you did not cause the defect, whatever the product, then the people responsible should pay. And in this instance, that's government and industry.
Okay. Have you, between yourself and the likes of Deputy Pearse Doherty and others, the government have a bill on this 2.7 billion. I think they've told their party members privately it could edge closer to 4. The way that you would administer this scheme, and given the fact that a lot of this would have to be front-loaded, you can talk about how we can claw back from certain sectors, but a lot of this would have to be front-loaded. What bill are you putting on this?
So first of all, the government has no idea how much this costs. The figures that were thrown around initially in the department review that was published last year was a guesstimate on the back of an envelope. A much better way to approach this is to be honest with people and say, we don't know the long-term cost, but how much are you going to invest every year? And we would start off with 200 million in the first year and a commitment to maintain and where necessary increase that. And again, we're not just talking about defective block and foundations. We have another set of defects we're going to have to address, up to 90,000 apartments, duplexes and houses, albeit with a lower cost of remediation per unit, but a larger number of units. So there's a lot of cleaning up to do from the Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael mess during the Celtic Tiger, and whatever it costs to clean that up, we have to ensure the money is there.
And where would that money come from? Because of course there's huge demands and you have committed to fix everything, and that sounds facetious, but pretty much it seems the case. The local hospital is going to be fixed, the roads are going to be fixed, we're going to get new bridges, everything is going to be done if Sinn Féin are in power. You know yourself, it's getting more expensive to borrow money. We know any clawback's going to take a while. Where does Sinn Féin find the money for this problem? Because you have to sell it across 26, 32 counties, not just the 4 or 5 or 6 counties that are affected. How do you sell this to the taxpayer?
Sure, and we're not promising to fix anything. In fact, if you look at both our alternative budgets and our manifesto, we're very clear on what we prioritise and what has to get done first. It's also important to stress that if you don't do it now, it will cost more in the long run. Government is going to have a surplus this year because of the increase in tax take because of the rising cost of living and corporation tax. The cost of borrowing is still very, very low, and government's borrowing capacity is still very, very significant. So certainly over the next number of years, and you can only predict 2 or 3 years into the future in terms of government expenditure, there is a comfortable space for government with existing tax revenues, as well as with continued low-cost borrowing to be able to fund, for example, our priority programs. And you're right, they are about health, they are about housing, they are about remediation. But don't let anybody fool you. The government is telling everybody that we're looking to fix everything. The government cannot do everything, but it can say, here are the priorities, here's how we would fund it, and now let's get on and do it. And that's exactly what Pearse Doherty, Corey McLaughlin, Rose Conway-Walsh and myself are saying on this matter.
2 short questions before 11 then. How quickly, if empowered, does Sinn Féin make any necessary changes? What is the process? Because this will be voted on in the Dáil, of course, and passed. Like how how quickly could these changes that you talk about?
Well, first of all, we want this scheme to be changed, and I had a constructive engagement with Darragh O'Brien yesterday on the floor of the Dáil, and he said yesterday, and he's repeated it today, he is willing to consider constructive amendments from opposition over the course of the next 3 weeks. So my priority first, and that of Pádraig and Pearse and Rose, is to engage with the Minister and the Department to get improvements to the scheme before this legislation is passed. We expect on the 15th.
But he's not going to allow Sinn Féin fingerprints all over his bill, having spent so long working with his own department officials on this. That would be a political disaster for him.
No, in fact, on a number of occasions, we've successfully passed legislation in this Dáil on the last, which the Minister has then absorbed and worked into his own legislation. And we've seen significant improvements in various areas, including tenants' rights and student rights, etc. There's also very, very significant campaign pressure from the Michael Action Group, from the Clare Pyrite Action Group, from the Mayo Pyrite Action Group and others over the next number of days. Obviously, they're in with us at 1 o'clock today. They'll be outlining what they want to see change in this bill. We have other expert scientists and the like. So we have a job of work to do over the next 3 weeks. Let's get this legislation right. Let's ensure this time round the people of the affected counties aren't left with an inadequate scheme.
And if it's gotten right, would you vote for it?
Oh, absolutely. Okay. And if it's an improvement on the existing scheme, even if we have problems, we'll vote for it. But if the scheme has inadequacies, we will continue to argue and campaign both for the duration of this government and if we're in government in the future for improvements to ensure that people get what they rightly deserved. They didn't cause the defects. They shouldn't have to pay. Those responsible should, and that's the bottom line.
All right, listen, thanks so much for coming on the programme. We appreciate it. Okay, that was Sinn Féin Deputy Owen O'Brien. He's Sinn Féin spokesperson on housing, local government and heritage. It's there, as I said earlier on, it's on the record now, if it comes to pass that they are in power. It's the likes of that interview will be the basis for a lot of future questions. Okay, we'll see. Right, it's still 11 o'clock, so I'm on time. It's time for a news update, and we say good morning now to Emma Ryan. Good morning, Emma.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The family of a 7-year-old girl who died following an incident at a swimming pool in Spain are believed to be from Donegal. Emergency services were called to a hotel in Mallorca on Monday. The girl was treated for cardiorespiratory arrest using CPR and transferred to a nearby hospital where she passed away yesterday afternoon. Today is a huge day for Mica homeowners in their strive for 100% redress. Members of the Mica Action Group will appear before a joint housing committee today in a shortened form of pre-legislative scrutiny on the defective concrete blocks bill. Letterkenny University Hospital is under increasing pressure due to COVID-19. 39 infectious cases are currently being dealt with at the hospital. Staff shortages due to an increase in staff testing positive for COVID-19 is also having a knock-on effect. Sinn Féin's housing spokesperson says he fell off his chair laughing when the Taoiseach accused his party of bullying. Leo Varadkar alleged yesterday Sinn Féin are constantly attacking the government both personally and in their practice. It comes as the Taoiseach engaged in a heated row with Pearse Doherty in the Dáil last week. Donegal Fire Service has received a new state-of-the-art water tanker and incident command unit. Chief Fire Officer Joseph McTaggart says both will enhance the ability of Donegal County Fire Service to deliver their operational fire service to the community it serves. And finally, planning permission has been refused for 60 dwellings in Stranorlar. Permission was applied for by Harrison Ventures Limited for the development at Admiran, Stranorlar in May 2021. That's all for now. We'll be back with news again at 12 noon.
Okay, Emma, thanks very much indeed. We'll be back with more on the 9 till noon show after this break.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Start playing NCBI Radio Bingo today. 3 chances a day, 5 days a week to win daily prizes of €400 plus. Not to mention a weekly jackpot of €5,000 upwards. Books available at your local retailer for just €5 each. It couldn't be simpler. Real money, real people.
Shane Connolly Car Sales, now located at Drumlonagher, Donegal Town, is an independent car dealer offering excellent finance packages, and we deliver straight to your door, local or nationwide. At Shane Connolly Car Sales, Donegal Town, we sell and service all makes and models. Check out our social platforms or visit ShaneConnollyCars.com.
Is your water safe to drink? If your water tastes unpleasant or has a foul smell, it may be a sign that something is in your water. Brothers Tech Donegal provide a complete private well water treatment service using the best water treatment equipment to meet your needs. Or maybe you drilled a new well and the water isn't satisfactory. At Brothers Tech, their expert team will also service existing problematic systems. If you're concerned about the quality of your water, call Brothers Tech on 087 638 7057.
Whatever the weather, night or day, Letterkenny Driving Range is open to 10 p.m. daily. Are you a beginner or thinking of taking up golf? Our bays allow you to practice the good and not so good shots for as little as €3. Practice makes perfect at Letterkenny Driving Range, open 7 days. Find us on Facebook.
After 3 years, Waterworld Bundoran is back. We're reopening tomorrow at 12 midday, and we're open every day throughout the summer. Experience the 3-lane multi-slide, the wave pool and rapids, the twister, tornado and gravity speed slides, the Pirates Galleon ship, and more. Booking essential. So get your tickets now at waterworldbundoran.com and find us on Facebook.
All right, you're very welcome back to the programme. Right, so caller says, I think the council could build the same independent living complex like Derry for older people. Yeah, indeed. Your guest, Conal Shufflin, is a community entrepreneur. That's something which is seemingly lacking in younger generations. This is off the back of our chat with Connor. Conal, I beg your pardon, who was talking about his involvement going back to the early noughties in developing housing in Ardra. A lot of people reacting very positively to what he had to say. Greg, if the price of coal doesn't settle down, hospitals will suffer come Christmas time with older people suffering illness because they are cold. Yeah, not impossible. Congratulate Greg and the two ladies on their success of their show about the mother and baby homes. Okay, thank you for that. A lot of reaction to that interview as well, which I'm only getting to now. A caller says, I've been on to other deaf communities around Ireland to check with the local radio station to find if they have captions. Hopefully they'll get one the same as yours. Thanks again. I don't think anyone else in the country, nationally or locally, broadcasts their show on the internet every day like we do, to be honest with you. So I don't think they can. All right, now, a caller says, hello guys, could you ask, is there any buses from Donegal going to Harry Styles in Dublin tomorrow night? Oh, is this from yesterday or the day before? I better check when he's playing again. Anyway, right, so we're talking about watching the programme. You can watch our next guest. Go onto our website, highlandradio.com, or YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland, or our Facebook pages, because I'm delighted to welcome onto the programme right now Megan Rowan, Ambassador for Walk in My Shoes. Megan, good morning to you. Can you hear Megan? You're muted there. Can you hear me okay? Right, I'll tell you, I'll come back to Megan in a moment. I'm not sure the internet's up to scratch there, but anyway, we'll come back to Megan. Stay with me, because I have one more break to take, and we'll sort that out during that break. I was at a festival recently, surprised at the level of hard drugs use. I knew the likes of marijuana would have a strong presence, but there was an alarming amount of ketamine. We also had a great band on that are playing in Party in the Park tomorrow afternoon in Letterkenny. Good reaction to that as well. Lovely young band, sounds great. Yeah, I thought they were particularly impressive. I want to mention to a coffee morning tomorrow in aid of Keyhole Heart Clinic. That's Pamela's Keyhole Heart Surgery. It's in O'Flaherty's Bar on Friday the 24th of June between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. So if you're in the area, drop into O'Flaherty's Bar between 10 and 3 tomorrow. You can have a nice cup of coffee, and I'm sure there might be some other treats there available for you. And also you can support the Keyhole Heart Clinic, the Keyhole Heart Clinic, Pamela's Keyhole Heart Surgery. Okay, good luck. Good luck to the organisers of that.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages with life cover provided at no additional cost. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
With inflation rising, we're all feeling the squeeze. But An Post Money can help you take the power back. Start today with our free Money Manager tool for current account holders, helping you track your income and spending, set and stick to budgets, and much more. Ready to take the power back? Visit onpost.com/Money Manager. OnPOS is authorised by the Minister for Finance to provide payment services and is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland in the provision of such services.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the programme. Hello, guys. Ask that question again. I beg your pardon. The bus Letterkenny to Dublin route has been reduced 87 seats to 57 seats, so it's 30 seats shorter. Let me see if Megan can hear me now. Megan, are you there? Hello, Megan? No, okay, we'll get Megan on the telephone. Obviously, there's some connection issues there. Would Sinn Féin extend the cut-off period for people that unknowingly purchased a defective property after the 31st of January 2020? I didn't get to that question, my apologies, but it'll come back again, that topic. Gregory, the person who ordered the takeaway at the weekend, did they advise the restaurants that one of them had an allergy to seafood? Just because it was a chicken dish, there's no guarantee it wouldn't be cooked with or near seafood. People are very quick to accuse restaurants of negligence, but if the customer didn't ask the question or advise that they were allergic, how is the chef supposed to know? Personal responsibility, I think. Yeah, I kind of was in that space myself, if I'm honest with you. We had Jim on earlier. He was full of praise for the Irish healthcare system, but this commenter on Facebook says, obviously that man who was talking about Letterkenny University Hospital never had a bad experience at the hospital, and lots of people don't, you see, and this is a platform for them as well. And it's nice for staff to hear of people like Jim being able to speak positively about their experience, because whilst not all people have a very good experience, not all people have a very bad experience either, and we try and platform both as much as we can. Right, Megan Rowan. We're going back to phone lines, Megan. You're dragging me back to the noughties. Good morning, Megan.
Good morning.
Good to have you with us. You're an ambassador for Walk in My Shoes, and you are from Moville Community School. Talk to me about Walk in My Shoes, the initiative, Megan.
Well, St Patrick's Mental Health Services have, over the past 10 years, operated an educational programme called Walk in My Shoes for TY students, and it's basically just an insight into how a mental health care service operates and the experiences of those facing mental health difficulties.
Do you feel that we're getting better at talking about mental health, but then what happens next? Do you feel that, Megan, whilst we talk about people saying it's good to talk, and it is, and to not be ashamed if they're suffering with their mental health the same way they wouldn't be ashamed if they were suffering with their physical health, do you feel amongst your peer group that the help is there if you need it?
Yeah, we discussed the stigma associated with a mental health diagnosis and how to change people's attitude towards it.
Yeah, okay. So talk to us about what's happening at the moment. There was a week-long programme, was there recently, or is that coming up, where a lot of transition year students were engaged with? That you had a placement, did you, Megan?
Yeah, we had a
placement. Talk to me about that, please.
Yeah, so we basically just got to talk to different people who worked in the hospital, and they just kind of told us a bit about what they do and, about what goes on in the hospital, and it was very interesting.
And you were able to meet the mental health experts, as you say, see firsthand how our mental health services operate.
Yeah, we got to just look at how the service operates and,
And the pathway people might have to recovery as well, which is a very important part of it, of course. That's what the mental health care is all about.
Yeah.
What did you learn from it, Megan?
I learned that anyone can have mental health problems regardless of their social background, and it helps you to promote more positive mental health.
And also, of course, we do know there are staff shortages in this area. Part of this scheme, I'd imagine, is to see if the likes of yourself or others might sort of follow a career path into the mental health services. Did you see anything that might encourage you to do that, Megan, or any of your school friends or anyone else that you're with, if they thought, right, maybe this could be a career for me?
Yeah, I feel like now I have the right skills to help someone who is suffering with mental health difficulties and to let them know that there are services out there for them.
Yeah, but could you see yourself actually going into it as a career, or is it just useful information to use through your teens and into adulthood?
I feel like it would be a good career for me, yeah. I am very interested in it.
Good stuff. All right, listen, it's good. Over 1,000 students have completed the TY programme, so people can get more information at walkinmyshoes.ie. You found it a very enriching experience. Would you generally recommend transition year? Megan, did you enjoy the year?
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed the year. It was a good experience, and you mature more throughout the year.
Yeah, did you get away anywhere?
Yeah, we got to go on loads of trips throughout the year, yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, lovely stuff. Okay, well, get your head down now. 5th and 6th is coming down the tracks. All right, Megan. Listen, well done. You're very good. Thanks, Megan. That's Megan there, who is an ambassador for Walk In My Shoes. More information on what they do at walkinmyshoes.ie. Right, WhatsApps and text to 08660 25000 or give us a call on 07491 25000. This caller says, I was an SNA a few years ago. I got my Garda vetting once at the outset and copied it to enclose in each of the CVs I put into schools and preschools. Okay, that is what I was talking about. I can't believe I didn't think about it. So can you you get a copy of it so the person that you're applying for can be satisfied that you pass Garda vetting, and you do that once yourself, copy it, put it into the CVs, and then that's that box ticked. Do all schools and preschools, I wonder, accept that? Let us know if that's the norm, because that sounds like makes an awful lot of sense. Can I get myself vetted, for example? How did you go about doing that? Because the reason I'm looking for more information on that is I think that's going to be very useful to quite a lot of people. Well said to your earlier caller, re-yellow boxes. Nobody who travels through Ballybofey seems to know how to use a yellow box. Yes, indeed, I know all about that. I agree with you. Greg, what do you think of this scenario? I got my car renewal notice from my company. The renewal amount was €356 fully comp. I'd bite their hands off. I thought this was quite good, so I contacted them to ask if this, quote, included 10% reduction for having two policies with the company. Imagine my surprise when the lady quoted me €364, an actual increase of €80. I've never heard of a renewal notice quote being increased. I then went on to the company's website, entered the same details, and got a quote for €349, 90% fully comprehensive. I then paid this amount. Motor insurance is a minefield. Oh, did you price around elsewhere? I know you probably thought, well, we've got two cars with this company, and if we change, the other companies don't necessarily do multi-car deals. But 345 is not bad, is it? As I say, I would bite your hand off for that. Whoever that Samuel is, it was fantastic to listen to him. Hope he gets on good. That's our 80-year-old friend who is a classic car fan. His family gave him a beautiful gift of a car, but he phoned up insurance companies. No one would quote him. No one would quote him, and one cited his age. I don't think that's acceptable. But we are on to the Insurance Federation to try and get answers. My mum, 89, my uncle, 92, still driving their cars. Hope Samuel gets insurance. Try FBD. Now, Samuel is driving his own car, by the way, fully insured, full licence, clean medical, all of that. Samuel received a classic car as a birthday gift to mark his 8 decades. So he's driving, and that's not an issue, but he wanted to take out classic car insurance on his older car, his classic car, and that's where the stumbling block is. Sad about Samuel's vintage car, but lovely listening to him. Sounds like a young at heart 80-year-old with a brilliant memory. Bless him. Hope all works out. Hear, hear. No coverage of the Donegal International Rally on the various sports sections of RTE News last Sunday evening. Why should we increase our licence fee for RTE when our counties bypassed re-sports coverage? Well, listen, stick to your local papers, your local websites, your local radio station, because, you know, that's where it's at. That's where you're going to get the coverage. But I take your point. Pay more for your licence fee. That's what you should do. Hello, guys. I keep asking this same question. Is Harry Styles on tomorrow night as well? Does anyone know? Or is this an old message? I know it was last night. He went for a dip in the sea and then he performed last night. I would say it was... he was due to play, wasn't he, 2019. So there's a lot of people were waiting 2-3 years to see him. I'm not sure if he's playing again or if that's an old message. They're looking for a bus down to Harry Styles. If he's playing again tomorrow night, and if there is a bus, please let me know. I'm going to put that one in the red bin now because I've made a hames of it 4 times. Right. No one is disputing the fact that once you get into Letterkenny University Hospital, you get 5-star treatment and care. It's the waiting to get in is the problem, of course, but also cancelled appointments and stuff also is an issue. But I take your point. I was in Letterkenny Day Unit on Monday. Nurses were so good to me. Big thank you indeed. And we had a recent experience of the hospital and it was fantastic. Staff were great. No great delays. Everything went on time, out quicker than one might expect. So that's my most recent experience as well. Totally agree with Jim. I was in the ED for hours and was treated so well. Seen, transferred to a bed within 8 hours. Spent a few days there as a patient. When you're sick, you don't mind the wait. Anyway, complainers really need to think about what they're doing there in the first place. All right, thanks for that. Right, I am having a mare today. I've got a head cold, a sore throat, and the computer's playing up on me, and I keep reading the same messages over and over again. And now the advert won't play. I'll sort that out in a second. There's no reason that the seats in the emergency department need to be so uncomfortable. Surely soft, wipeable plastics would suffice. People sit there for 12 plus hours in pain. It doesn't help. And I agree with you, and this come to my mind, it's a long time ago now since I was in an airport, but it came to my mind recently in an airport, and the seats were so comfortable, and there were so many of them compared to the experience at a hospital more recently or sometime before that. Right, okay, our next guest is Emer Kelly Donnelly, a psychotherapist with Embrace Farms. Right, good morning to you, and thank you for joining us, Emer. I hope you can hear me okay.
Yep. Hi, Greg. How are you? Good morning.
I'm good. Right, talk to me about Embrace Farm.
So Embrace Farm is Ireland's only support network for those bereaved by who have survived a farm accident. And it was founded in 2014 by a couple called Brian and Norma Rowan, and they're from Shanahoe, County Laois. And unfortunately, Brian lost his own father to an accident on the farm. And when they looked for help in the aftermath, they realised there was no service providing no charity or service in the country providing this. So they set it up in 2014 following their learnings from this.
And I know some of the answers, but interested to hear you explain it, Emer. Why would we need something dedicated to the loss of life on a farm or within the farming community that is not served or is different for the same type of supports in the general population?
Well, basically, I suppose the difference, if you could even say that, but there is the practical end of a business. So regardless of the fatality or the serious injury or suicide on the farm, there's a business that must continue to run. And that's very hard. If it was a normal 9-to-5 job or a shift job or if you were an employee somewhere, you could take some time off and you wouldn't have to worry about the bigger operational running of a business. But unfortunately with a farm, the show must go on regardless of the trauma and the grief.
Yeah, and also people want to be there for someone who's suffered a bereavement, but they want to know how to be there correctly, to be there constructively. And then what kind of possibly happens is they don't engage at all because it's too awkward and they don't know what to say. That's the opposite of what we want. So Farm also helps, does it, in how we can support people who have been bereaved?
Yes, and again, yeah. So Embrace, I suppose
Embrace, I beg your pardon. Yep.
Embrace Farm. It's a kind of a one call. You just have to make one call, and we will figure out exactly what somebody needs. Sometimes people don't know, but general conversation and a trusting relationship will identify what's needed, and we then have the supports required, be it financial, practical, emotional, legal, and we also have ag advisors there that will assist in any way possible.
Does this also extend to the wider farming community? Not necessarily the immediate family of someone who's passed, but it can be. We all live in very tight-knit communities. It can be even tighter so within the farming community, and maybe someone's affected by this operating a farm on their own now and feel particularly isolated. Can you help in those instances?
We can, I suppose. If somebody wants to give us a call, we'll do our very best to signpost and support and get somebody linked in with somebody who might be able to help in the area. Between us, we'll definitely support any way we can.
Okay, and the remembrance, the annual remembrance it's the 9th, I believe. It's coming up this Sunday. Is the call still out there for families to submit names of loved ones who've lost their lives on the farm or to do with farming?
Yeah, that's exactly right, Greg. We have the remembrance ceremony this Sunday in Abbeyleix in County Laois, in the Church of the Most Holy Rosary, and it will be live streamed and it will also be played on RT1 the following week if people can't make it in person. But if there are people out listening today that have a name that they would like to add to our list to be called out at the remembrance ceremony, embrace.com. And there's also a number there as well.
Yes, and of course, we've talked about maybe if it's the breadwinner that passes in a farming incident, but all too often, and we don't want anyone to lose their lives, all too often it can be a young person, a child, and I imagine that's even more difficult to come to terms with. So that's a lot of. Do you have a lot of your interactions with families that have gone through that devastating situation?
There are families linked in that have unfortunately lost children on the farm, and I suppose, the show must go on. They have to continue to work in that area. They have to, so I suppose there's just an additional layer to a farm accident. If it was a road accident, not taken from a road accident, but you could go a different road or you could avoid the area for a time. With a farm, unfortunately, it's constant. It has to keep rolling over,
It's intertwined with probably every single aspect of your life. It's devastating. Do you use part of the remembrance to sort of maybe enforce the message to do all we can to avoid preventable incidences on farms that lead to death and serious injury too? Because we talk about deaths, and of course that is the ultimate. But there's so many people that can't work or can't work the farm, because of serious injury, or even it's life-changing injuries as well. So we must remember them as well, of course.
Sure, and they are remembered at the ceremony. And I guess to answer your question, the remembrance ceremony, I suppose, is primarily to remember and support, and then I suppose to meet people and to be there as a support on the day, put faces to the names, etc. But there are a lot of survivors that we have that have survived serious farm accident, left with an ailment of such, maybe a disability, or they've lost a limb, and they have poured themselves into the health and safety and the basic farm safety on a farm, and they're out advocating and informing and linked up with different organisations to raise awareness of farm safety.
And as you say, obviously this was launched by husband and wife Brian and Norma Rohan in 2014. They themselves obviously lived through the gaps that were there, and from their experience, and I'm sure it must be very rewarding for them in them dealing with their loss, we're having this conversation today.
Yeah, absolutely. And to date, 285 farm families have been linked in with Embrace Farm. It's incredible. And unfortunately, that number is rising.
Yeah, okay. But we have to do all we can to avoid as much as possible people needing these services in the first place. Listen, it's been... just talk to me again, sorry, about how people can access the Remembrance service on Sunday, because I don't want to brush over that.
Embrace.com is where they'll find it, and on all our social media platforms. So Instagram, it's embracefarm.com, and Facebook is the same. And then we also have a phone number for people who may be listening that want to get more information, or that I had a gentleman call me during the week. He's 20 years after an accident, had never heard of the service. He just wanted to link in, have a chat. So if there's people out there not sure, or they know of somebody, or just give us a call. We'll take any call, whether it's exactly what somebody's looking for or not. We're here to answer anything.
Yeah, and people should make the call too, because people will hear it. People will know Embrace Farms there, and they'll go, no, I don't need that. I can do this on my own. I think it's best to make that call and just see how you get on. Do you no harm? Okay.
Absolutely.
It's lovely stuff. Yeah, go ahead.
It's
Sorry.
embracefarm.com, and there's a number here as well. It's 086 838 1427.
Okay. Thank you very much indeed. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye. That was our guest, Emer, there from Embrace Farm, Emer Kelly Donnelly. All right, if that's for you, maybe you've engaged with those services, tell us about it. 086 60 25,000. All right, let's take a piece of music, which means we have to mute on our social media live stream for about 3 minutes. My apologies, but stay where you are. Go and grab yourself a cup of tea. You've earned it. Here are the Bangles. All right, that is the Bangles there. Betty Doherty in Urris Manor, Clonmany, 86th birthday today. Have a fantastic day, Betty, from your dear friend. Please play a request for Sammy Jo Preston from Ardstraw in Newtown Stewart, who earned great grades in her exams in Strabane Academy. Love from Mamo. Thank you. Andriana French from Drumkeen is celebrating her 40th birthday today. Happy birthday, Andriana. That's coming in from your mum, Pearl, daughter, Nicole. Granny and Grandad Boyle in Tara Court. A big hello and thanks for the trip away from Auntie Siobhan, Evelyn and Marie as well. Sounds lovely. Could you play a request, please, for my sister Carol, wishing her all the happiness and good health on her upcoming retirement? If you could play Dolly Parton 9 to 5, that would be great. Someone will play that for you a little later on, by the way. We'll pass this request forward as well. But the request, the meaning of it, the words, come from her sisters, Mildred, Rachel, Andrina and Joanne, brother-in-laws, niece and nephews with lots of love. Okay. So that's the request played. We didn't get to the song. Is there an irony there? She's retiring now and you want to hear 9 to 5. What a way to make a living. Retirement. What a way to make a living too. Okay, back with more shortly.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Is your bank leaving town? Letterkenny Credit Union is now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features with no appointment necessary to open your account.
Are you switched on to your energy rights? If you're worried about rising energy costs and are having difficulty paying your gas and electricity bills, you should contact your supplier. Suppliers are required to assist customers in genuine financial difficulty and can put in place payment arrangements to help you manage your energy bills. If you qualify as a vulnerable customer due to health, age, or for other reasons, you can register with your supplier for additional protections. Switch on to your rights and visit cru.ie. Brought to you by the Commission for Regulation of Utilities.
Get ready for your holidays with the best brands in fresh new summer colours. Kids clothing for all ages, boys and girls. At Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure. Adidas Turo 21 t-shirts and shorts. Match it up with some graphic tees in bright new colours. Under Armour Girls Logo Range. T-shirts and shorts with matching hoodies and crop leggings. Nike Pro jackets for girls with matching tees and shorts. In store or online. Click and collect on bmcsports.ie.
Gutcha go glishy tú faoi Gaelphobal Línra Litter Cannon.
Gaelphobal Línra Litter Cannon?
Sha to Línra Litter Cannon mar Gaelphobal. If you want to promote more Irish in your business, learn Irish, join our book club, or to speak more Irish, young or old, Coupla Focal na Umlan Lifa, there's a welcome for you in Línra Litter Canning. Find out more at gaelphobal.ie.
Crohi Spas, Don Gaelige.
Gaelphobal.
Gaelige le Gaele.
Are you thinking of changing or upgrading your current car? Why not think Seat? Trade up your Seat SUV and you will be offered PCP finance from 1.9% and a 3-year service plan from just $9.99 per month. Choose from the bold Arona, the stylish new Ateca, or the outstanding 7-seat Tarraco. We're all ready. Are you? Trade up your 222 Seat SUV at DMG Motors, Clar Road, Donegal Town. For more information, visit dmgmotors.ie. Finance provided by way of hire purchase agreement from Volkswagen Financial Services Ireland. Trading as Seat Financial Services. Subject to lending criteria, terms and conditions apply.
Okay, the Department of Education has announced, by the way, in case it affects you or someone in your home, that Leaving Cert results will be announced on September 2nd. Now, I don't know if that's later or earlier than normal or if it's good or bad, but anyway, September 2nd, you will know if all of your schooling was worthwhile, effectively. It's not like that, but that's probably how it might feel. If anyone's organised a bus to Harry Styles tomorrow evening, cancel it. He's finished up. Okay, so thank you for that. I was reading a 2-day-old message and I read it 4 times. Actually, speaking of buses, we're joined on the programme now by James McGinley, owner of McGinley Coach Travel. Good morning to you, James.
Good morning to you.
It must be very, very tough in your business at the moment because, you know, one of your key spends in keeping the show on the road is fuel, and we know how that's increased and very little to help you out, I imagine.
It is. Fuel is a huge cost. It's probably our single biggest expense in our industry, and as I said, I suppose it's been going up and up and up since for the last year and a half.
Have you been able to absorb it up until now, James?
We have, up to now, we have absorbed it, but I suppose you get to a point that unfortunately, that it has to be passed on to the end user.
Yeah.
I suppose the hope always was that, that this war in Ukraine might come to an end, and that fuel prices might come back to a more, I suppose, normal price. But at the moment, I suppose the biggest problem is that, we don't even have an end in sight, and that, even if we knew that it had capped at what it was, but unfortunately...
But even in that, we don't know, James, if everything were to end, and we hope it would, we don't know if we would see the fuel prices drop down again. They have a habit of going up, especially with the move away from the likes of petrol and diesel. You just wonder if they'll ever come down again.
You do, yes, and I suppose we're as well as the price of fuel going up. There's always carbon taxes and others being added onto it. But in saying that, it's the current increases seem to be more, and it's the fuel itself that's increasing in price rather than taxation.
I'm not familiar with all the runs that you do. I don't know if you, but obviously what we're seeing at the moment is a discount on public transport, and also, increase in fuel prices will not be passed on to the consumer. Whether it's you or your colleagues in the private sector, is there an ever increasingly uneven playing field out there?
Well, there is. As I said, we're hearing at the moment the government are talking about that they're going to give discounts to transport users, but unfortunately that won't make its way down to any of the long distance services that we, or indeed any of our other operators in the county do. It's more to do with PSO services. That's your Dublin bus, your Lewis, your trains.
But that's unfair to you, isn't it?
Well, it's unfair to us, but it's also unfair to our customers, because ultimately, if fuel prices go up and fares have to increase, it's ultimately the customer that's going to be paying for it. So it's unfair to the customer that we're seeing that customers in certain parts of the country, especially in the major cities, are going to be able to find discounts in fares, yet operators in the outlying parts of the country are not going to be able to get those.
Yeah. Can you claim that back on your fuel?
No, coach industry is actually one of the few industries. Yeah, so no coach company can claim VAT back. It's one of the only industries in the country that can't claim VAT back.
So what do you think needs to change? Because the last thing you want to do is pass this on to the consumer. Things like not being able to claim VAT back, which seems unfair to me. Maybe government intervention, some subsidy for coach operators. Do you think? What would you want to see happen? I presume the last thing you want to see happen is your customers having to pay more.
Well, it is, as I said, the price of fuel has increased that much that unfortunately it's inevitable that fares will increase. Consumers mightn't realise, but a coach will only do about 8 miles per gallon. So, our busiest route, which is the Letterkenny and Derry services to Dublin, a round trip on that will currently burn about €500-600 of fuel. So that's about 300 more than what it would have taken to do a return journey a year ago. So
shocking.
We do need, I suppose, to see some sort of basically, I suppose what we'd really like is to be given the same discounts that the public service operators are going to get, that that private sector could get those as well, so that it could be passed down to consumers.
Yeah, I don't know if you tender for the likes of school runs, James, but you have to feel for those that do, because that's a blind process, isn't it? And you're doing so in presumably a pretty competitive environment with no idea of what your costs might be for the full of the next school term. We have a strange way of treating coach and bus operators in this country in the private sector.
Well, it's not. I mean, I suppose school runs are one side of it, but another part of our business would be the working for tour operators, bringing tours around the country. And most of our coaches at the moment, they're all over the country on bringing visitors around. And all of those contracts would have been signed, a year ago again when fuel was half of what it's at. So this year is particularly difficult for the sector.
Yeah, so you're hoping for a brighter 2023, something maybe in the budget, because as I say, with the best will in the world, I can see prices plateauing at some point, fuel prices maybe even coming down a little, but the direction of traffic is to get us out of using petrol and diesel, and you just wonder if we'll ever see low prices for those commodities ever again.
Well, the government, I mean, they're talking that they're trying to encourage public transport, and if they're to do that, they need to make public transport as cheap as possible to the end user, to encourage them to use it. By seeing prices going up on public transport isn't the way to do that anyway. So no, we need to see, as I said, we see that the same discounts that are being offered to the trains and to the buses in the cities, we need to see that expanded and given to the operators that operate regional services.
It doesn't make any sense not to do so, because as you quite rightly say, you know, it has to be a viable alternative. You need those routes there. And also, I think particularly visiting more rural parts of this country, in terms of ferrying tourists around the place, it's an incredible... how else might they get here? They're not going to come up on the train. They may fly up, but how are they going to get from West Donegal? You know, I think your industry needs far more support rather than any more disadvantages.
Well, we do, but I suppose we're looking for a fairness as well, that everybody gets the same. You know, that, as I said, you know, that the people that are living in the cities and availing of the Luas and the trains, that, you know, that public buses would be able to get the same kind of discounts.
Agreed. Okay, James, thanks very much indeed for that. That's James McGinley there, owner of McGinley Coaches. All right, thanks for his input. Everything will be first class if Sinn Féin get into government, from flights, housing, health, etc., and the taxpayer will be footing the bill. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see, but I've been saying that for a while now. Is the internet out in the rest of Letterkenny? There's a few of us in the Churchill area are without. Well, we're currently using the internet here at Mountain Top, so it depends which provider you're with, though, as well. It could be a company-based outage. Greg, you have to reapply per employer when it comes to vetting. You do not get a copy yourself. It goes to the employer. So if you had 2 jobs, that is 2 applications, right? So that solution that listener called up with, I wonder if they could text back and tell us more. They said they got a vetting, photocopied it and included it with their CVs. So maybe it's not a solution. Greg, I think Donegal would benefit with a leap card system like everywhere else in the country. It's all about making transport accessible. Yeah, indeed. I'm heading from Letterkenny to Westport. It's cheaper for me to get a bus rather than drive. I couldn't find the information online. I ended up having to ring them. The search function is awful and faulty. Another Donegal once again behind. There's no readily available information about timetables or live updates like there is around the country. Okay. And Charlie on Facebook. Charlie, I'm not having a go. Good morning, Highland. We really have become a country of moaners. Now, there is a slight irony there, Charlie, in that you're moaning about moaners. So you're kind of one of us, if you know what I mean. But thank you very much. And I don't want to discourage your comment, though. Just give me a wee bit of a giggle. Thank you.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
At Cooney's Home Interiors, we pride ourselves on offering you the very best in choice, quality and value on all home furnishings. Treat your home with a visit to Cooney's today and choose from our large range of suites, tables, beds, not to mention our large selection of home accessories. Our motto is, if you see it, you can buy it, and we will deliver it to your door. Cooney's Home Interiors, Letterkenny Retail Park. Style and perfection at incredible value.
The final Saturday stretch at Oakville Park with Foe is this Saturday from 11 until late. This week there's live music from Lavengro after 6, with later running trains, food specials at Buffer's Restaurant, craft beers and wines, delicious coffees and sweet treats. It's the perfect family day out. Normal gate fees apply, no booking required. Season pass and gold pass holders enter free. Come along to the Saturday stretch, this Saturday at Oakville Park.
Tesco Club Card has the power to lower prices on barbecue must-haves like Fire Pit Ultimate Burgers 400 gram and 6 jumbo sausages 600 gram, any 3 for €10. Plus fill your glasses with Pepsi Max, 7up Free or Club Orange Zero. 12 by 330ml packs, now €6. It can't stop you burning the buns though. Nothing's that powerful. Lower the cost of your shop with your Tesco Club Card or app. The power to lower prices. Tesco. Every little helps. Product subject to availability. Excludes express stores.
After 3 years, Waterworld Bundoran is back. We're reopening tomorrow at 12 midday, and we're open every day throughout the summer. Experience the 3-lane multi-slide, the wave pool and rapids, the twister, tornado and gravity speed slides, the Pirates Galleon ship and more. Booking essential. So get your tickets now at waterworldbundoran.com and find us on Facebook.
McCullough Jewellers in Letterkenny are synonymous with fine jewellery, quality watches and giftware. With stores at Main Street, Letterkenny and the Letterkenny Shopping Centre, or online at ormccullough.com. You can choose from their quality product range in a relaxed atmosphere, and their sales staff will be happy to help you make the right choice, whatever the occasion. McCullough Jewellers, making moments magical for generations.
Obviously, the recent census has been conducted. They're going through the figures, and I just see a note there from their office. Preliminary figures show that the Donegal population has increased by between 4 and 5% over the last, how long is it? I can't figure it out. Anyway, since the last census, 2016, wasn't it? So that is 6 years. It's increased by 4.5% or thereabouts, and our population now across the county, 166,000 plus, up from around about 158,000. So significant growth there in Donegal's population. All right, Teresa joins us now. Hi, Teresa.
Hi, Greg. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Because so many people, I think, are involved in the communities and working with schools and community groups and what have you, there's loads of people out there that have fallen foul of the complication of the vetting system. What's your experience been?
So I got Garda vetted through the Gael School when I was doing my special needs assistant. I also had to get different Garda vetting through the FEI for my football club, even though my current vetting for the Gael School was still active. Come now September, I'm going to do work experience in a different establishment, and once again I have to get Garda vetted for that. So the same one, although it's valid for 3 years in, say, the Gael School, you still have to keep on, every establishment you go to, you have to keep on getting Garda vetted. I suppose because something could have happened from when you got your Garda vetting initially until the present time, if you get me.
Yeah, but that doesn't make sense, because that would mean that you could have, something could have happened and you could be up to no good during the course of the 3 years of your first vetting, if you know what I mean. So in other words, we'd say, well, we can do nothing about it if something changed in the first place, but if they go to a second place and third place, maybe we can pick something up. But as you say, the logic that you put across is probably true. Do you think it makes sense, Teresa? You can understand it, but would it not discourage people to have to go through that process all the time?
Well, it probably would, but I suppose the bottom line is that it's about the security of children and that, and if something is flagged up. So say, for example, I go out and I do something wrong this weekend, and my Garda vetting is in the process of the application is in the process for the new place I'm going to in September. It'll flag up in the system, and then the new place, as in the creche, will get notified.
Yeah, I get you.
And I can't personally go and get myself vetted. It has to. So I'm going to Wonder Years in September.
Mm-hmm.
They send me out the application form. I fill it in, and then they send it off to the Garda Vetting Bureau.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't turn around tomorrow and say, well, I want to get Garda vetted.
Yeah, I get you.
Know what I mean?
You can't pre-approve yourself. Yeah, I get you.
No.
So that other person we had earlier on must have found a way around that. And Teresa, is there any cost to you in it? Or?
No cost whatsoever, no. And it's still, I still have my Garda vetting, 3 different forms in my CV folder.
Yeah, I get you, yeah.
If I'm not going back to any of those places and I'm going to somewhere new, you have to get a new one.
Okay, I do feel though for people especially those that want to go working in as an SNA or what have you, putting in multiple CVs and then for every job application, even if they're not probably going to be shortlisted, seemingly, they're having to go through that process. But if it's not they that's doing it.
No, and it is a bit long-winded. Even for, say, the football club, for example, it can take anything from 8 to 10 weeks for the vetting to come through. So it's a long process.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for the insight. Keep up the great work, Teresa. Good luck with everything. Bye-bye. Patrick joins us now. Hi, Patrick. Is Patrick there? No, I've just got rid of Patrick. I dumped the wrong line. It's this head cold. Very serious man flu. Very serious. Blocked nose. Can't do anything. I need care and attention. Patrick hopefully will rejoin us now in a second, and I will apologise profusely for that. This caller earlier on about the search function on as it relates to trying to book a bus. I get that, by the way, and I meant to say it at the time because I was looking at different options and for different people and myself about how you can use buses, what services are available. And I didn't know who did what, where, and how. I don't know if is there room for a website there, even a third-party website that could be supported from ads that collates or gathers all that information to say, right, this company goes here and there, that company goes here and there. Do you know what I mean? Even if then it branched off onto their website, I just think there's definitely an opening there to make it simpler to avail of public or private transport. Right, Patrick, my apologies. I'm so sorry. I pressed the wrong button. How are you keeping?
No, boy, fine, thanks.
Right, you have come across a person. You're wondering if anyone else had. What happened?
Is someone on the Letterkenny Road from the roundabouts to maybe Virgin, or from last week, then it was someone from Lifford roundabout, and he gets on with the people. He starts to tell a sad story. His wife died. He's a type 1 diabetes, the whole lot. Big sad story while you're travelling, and he's meeting friends. He has no money.
So he gets the lift, and listen. Hopefully he's not going through this in real life, but it's when he gets in the car that the story comes out.
Yes, the sad story starts then. The first question I ask you, where are you going?
Right.
And then that'll do me.
Uh-huh.
From there on, that's the sad story while he's sitting in the car.
And
so I know 2 people that have caught in the last 2 weeks.
So he talks of losing his wife. He's not only lost his wife, he's lost his cards, he's lost his wallet, he's got no cash, he has keys, he's not eaten for a couple of days, and then he says, I don't want you to donate this money, I have access to money, I'll leave it for you somewhere.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's doing. And obviously enough, it's not happening. As soon as he gets out of the car, that's goodbye.
Right, and 2 people, one's out €50, one's out 100.
Yeah. And one of the people even gave him an insulin pen because he's a type 1 diabetes himself,
right.
And he knew that he can't be without it. He gave him a brand new pen, a brand new insulin pen, and it probably is going to sell it. He's not diabetes at all. I have a photo of him now because I can track him down at the end of.
And he hasn't.
Hasn't eaten for 2 days.
Yeah, he hasn't eaten for 2 days for a long time, and he hasn't ordered any new cards. They just lost either because the same guy was doing the same stuff months ago.
Yes. Months ago, he was doing it as well. Apprehended him on Friday night. One of the people got their money back. The other person didn't. And phoned the guards. They come. They said, "Oh, he's known to us." And the first question I asked him, I said, "Listen, why are you using it letting the public know what this is going on?" And he says, "We have known of him. We know he's at it." Did you have a conversation with this man? Yes.
And did he admit to anything?
He just, I'm homeless. And that's his answer. He just shook away his shoulders.
So he is in a difficult situation, and this is his way of supporting himself. I don't know. I thought you got. So you weren't convinced he was homeless.
He said he was homeless, but he doesn't look like somebody that's homeless.
Right. Okay. Well, it could be his. Yeah, I get you. And this could be very lucrative because he can just daisy chain around the country.
Well, if you come down to Virginia and get 50 on the way down and come up and get another 50, it doesn't belong getting a day's pay.
No, I wouldn't be at it, but you'd almost pack in what I'm doing.
Oh.
Right, okay. Right, we'll see.
Just let the people know that he is on the road filming. Like, that's 2 different locations now, and it just happened to be one person here telling the other story, and they relayed it on, and that's how and we figured out where he was, and we got him that Friday night. They phoned the guards. What could they do? Took him away. I don't know what they done with him. But
because people are giving the money sort of willingly, I suppose.
That's it. They can't. There's nothing they can do. And the people just, that's your happy. A sad story. Maybe, as I say, one of the people was a type 1 diabetic himself, so he felt sorry right away.
And the people too, I feel sorry, who were kind enough to give money. That they could have donated that money to actually, a charity or an organisation that genuinely needed it.
That's for sure. So. But no, I just thought I'd highlight it because, as I say, I listened to the Garda report because they did say to us, I said to them on Friday night, I said, listen, I just need to highlight that this is going on. And that's why I listened to the Garda on
Tuesday. I heard nothing. Okay. All right, well, listen, the message out there now. Patrick, thank you.
Well, boy,
all right, take care of yourself. Yesterday we were talking about home birthing. And I was kind of curious as to how popular it might be. There's been an increase in home birthing. I don't know if it's based on experience, but and I'm not questioning the skill of the staff that would be in the home, but I don't know if it's something personally, I don't have babies, but I don't know if it's something personally I'd be interested in. But anyway, we asked you out there in the great listening world, would you consider a home birthing experience And this poll finished as follows. 23% of you said yes, you would consider it, which is quite big. It's 1 in 4, not far off it, is it? 77% though, the majority said they wouldn't consider a home birthing experience. Okay, now in these type of polls, we can't filter out who's had complicated pregnancies or bad experiences or good experiences. So that's just an overall catch-all across the listening public. So thank you for everyone who engaged in that. Check out our social medias. Just search Highland Radio on any of them. You'll get them. She's right, that being Teresa. If you got 2 jobs in 1 week, you need 2 separate Garda vettings. It's the employer who gets it, not the individual. It's a ridiculous system. It is. But and as Teresa quite rightly pointed out, and we've made this when there's been call for volunteers before, we've made the point that, look, this is about protection of children and adults as well, of course. So it is a good system, but it's not beyond maybe a tweak. You know, maybe we could tweak it a little bit. I got a text yesterday from the PTSB saying that there was a transaction on my account of €178, and was I responsible for that transaction? I know I wasn't, because I'm not a customer of Permanent TSB, but they're out there at the moment. My phone moves these things to spam itself. I don't know if it's the phone that does it or the network, but it's very good. It picks up all of those spam calls and texts. But anyway, the scams are going around again. If I were a Permanent TSB customer, I probably, in a panic, might have pressed the link to try and stop that payment going through. This call, the reason I mentioned that is because this caller says, I got a phone call saying it's from my bank. It seems like a phone scam. I've been trying to get in contact with the bank to make sure that all is okay. They aren't answering, and as an elderly person, it's extremely frustrating and worrisome. Right, so can you give us the nature of the phone call and which bank you're with, if you want to, and we'll try and help you out in that regard. I mean, we can't ring the bank on your behalf, but we can certainly... Can I just say one thing? If there's a particular problem with your bank, they will call you back, okay? They will call you back. They're not going to just leave it hanging there. So don't worry yourself unnecessarily. And tell us which bank it is, and we'll try and get you a number that you might be able to get through. We were talking to James McGinley there. Our caller says, what a fantastic service McGinley's have here in Donegal. Very lucky to have them indeed, okay? And you can hear from James, the last thing he wants to do is to put up the price to his loyal, regular and new customers. He doesn't want to do it, but they're not getting very much support, it seems. Greg, I too had to renew my medical card this year. It took about 3 months as they looked for more info from myself and my GP. I'd advise that couple to phone the helpline number. It's on the form, or perhaps you can provide it, Greg. I don't have a number anymore. I found the helpline helpful and the phone is answered fairly quickly. Leave it with me. We'll try and do everything we can to help, of course. Same problem with the medical card issues. I've dry eye, need my drops for the rest of my life. Each time I go, I'm getting told I need proper details. This is going on 6 to 8 months now, and I'm a 24-year-old on job seekers allowance, Greg. Okay, yeah, I don't know. There's something going on there. So we'll definitely chase that up, because more and more of you are texting in and calling in with the same problems. Okay, that is where we're going to leave it on the programme today. Thanks to all of you who have